What's up, Doug? Welcome to Brothers and Booze.
Welcome to Brothers News. That was a somber beginning. You know what that's from?
Yeah, you say it.
Yeah, it was a procession of ice cream trucks because the guy in the hearse there was a an ice cream truck man. So they decided to pay homage to him by following him in the procession. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah,
Somber but cool.
yeah,
And in the I think in the what we want to believe is the Christmas spirit.
hmm agreed.
Right. And I don't see much of it, so that's why I pulled that one.
So what you got there, homie?
I got something in the Christmas spirit. I got a classic Alaska Smoke Porter, gold medal winner. It's fantastic. It's 2021's edition, so came out this year. It's nice and fresh. It's a
Nice.
porter. Figure it'd be a great way to potentially end our year streaming. I'm not sure if we'll see y'all before 2022. We'll figure all that out. But you definitely won't see us next week. That's Christmas Eve.
Yep.
And well, we'll be doing other things. Like, I don't know. I just won't be sitting behind this mic, but I'll be sitting my ass somewhere in my house.
Yep.
Because there's really not much more to do when you have what is it, the 17th wave of the pandemic going on right now?
Yeah,
So
we're in season 12 of the pandemic. So
and right, and since this year started, we've both ventured into the high risk area as far as whether we should have COVID or not. No one should have COVID. But we especially should not have COVID after the year that we've been through.
Amen.
Together and not together. So I'm hiding even more than I was when this damn year started.
Yeah.
Crazy times, buddy. Crazy
Yes, sir.
times.
Yes,
But I
sir.
did get that boost earlier today. So feeling a little bit better, I guess. I don't know. I still don't want to be around any of y'all. Love y'all, but no need to be around you.
Not for a while, anyhow, right?
You know, the pandemic's good for that shit, Doug. For
Yeah.
people who want to be isolated and not be around people, I mean, this is your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Introverts unite separately in your own house.
Right. But what about assholes like us who actually like to be around people?
Yeah, that's I think part of the reason like why we've really enjoyed this year is because we can actually hang out because we can't hang out otherwise. So yeah.
So we're clear, ready to roll into 2020. We already have some wonderful guests. If y'all here looking for Jeff Bogle, he had a snafu and he couldn't appear, but he's going to appear in January. I believe it's the 21st, right after he goes to a very, 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 very cold place called Antarctica.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun as shit having him and talking about all that, because I mean, that's a place that I don't think who's going to really get to go to Antarctica, but the world traveler Jeff Bogle. This man has been a lot of
All
places.
over.
So we're gonna have to like recap and regroup in order to really get to everything that man does. We've had some wonderful guests that are world travelers too. I mean, our last guests, the Bradfords, they're literally living in another country.
Yeah. So talk about world traveling there, right? You know?
Right. Jeff's fantastic. So many different levels. We were really looking forward to it, but it's cool. Late minute snafu. So it's again, love it. In fact, as I told him, I would have, if this was me, I would have, the same thing would have happened. I would have said, "Hey guys, I need to see y'all another time." So good times.
Yep.
What are you drinking?
Well, I'm pulling from the Fresh Fest pack that I got from my parents again. I believe you had this one. The
Oh, it's the
calm,
best pack ever.
the calm before the storm. This is a sour ale with vanilla, peaches, and coconut. Jay Wakefield, which I have only they did it as a collab with War Cloud, I believe. Yep. And I have only ever had one Jay Wakefield beer. They're next to impossible to get up here. So when I saw that, I was super excited to see that was in the pack. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one is. Lovely nose. Got the nice little color there. Smells delicious. I'm gonna let that settle a bit before I take a sip. So because I poured a little heavy, but the nose is excellent. You get the nose is very citrusy and sweet. Like you can even get the peaches on the nose there too.
Right, and no one's going to argue with Zach here.
No, we're not. That's exactly. I think you nailed that one really well, Zach.
We'll keep it like that. It's fantastic. You're completely right. Oh, Zach, you need to get your ass on this stream too at some point.
Yes, we do. Yes,
yeah,
we do.
You do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And don't act like you can't, or don't act like you're not around, because you're busy trolling us in the comments, sir. So you have the time. You're open during it. Let's do this. Okay, great.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That is delicious.
Is it okay? So what's going on? Sour?
Yeah, but not really sour, not really tart. Kind of just really mellow. But I don't get a lot of coconut, but I get the peaches and the vanilla for sure.
Yeah,
gotta have my sour expert try it over here.
No expert.
Yeah, well, the coconut, coconut can be overpowering, but coconut can also be overpowered. If that makes sense.
Yeah, give me this face. That's
right.
The face of approval.
Right. And you can easily, in my opinion, overpower.
Oh, I just lost that can, folks. That's how good that beer is. So I no longer have the rest of that beer. Thanks,
right.
baby.
Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, yes, for sure. So yeah, sorry, but that was delicious. I don't know if I have another one in the fridge. Hopefully I do. Anyway.
Yeah, there are some corporate coconut beers that just taste like fake coconut. Absolutely. And that's where coconut goes off the deep end for us when it's overpowering, at least I'll speak for myself, or when it's like, this is like some coconut extract nonsense.
Yeah. And I'm not a huge fan of coconut flavor in general, but when it's fake, it's like a million times worse.
Right. It's horrible. So, about time to bring on our guest.
Yeah.
Yes. Zach, yes. Yes.
It's like Sunday.
Yes. The worst ones do. There's no question. And then they really like to throw like them into stouts, and like we're stout lovers here. And that's really the first way you can ruin a stout is by having like an overly coconutty mess. And so Doug, without further ado, we're gonna bring in our guest. Our guest, it's funny too, Doug, because we have this, we kind of had I wouldn't say fight, but there's this level of people thinking that we're just like a booze show and all we do is booze all the time. And like sometimes when we ask people to come on, they're like, well, I don't drink beer. Well, that's not really the point. Like the point is actually more about us drinking beer than anybody.
Yeah, for sure. Hey,
but we don't, again, our theory and our theme is that you drink whatever you're trying to drink on a Friday. And, that's what we drink. We drink, so sometimes Doug has rough weeks, and Doug's drinking, Doug starts off with a bourbon barrel and ends with one. And sometimes we have lighter weeks.
And one in the middle.
Right. So it's really about, So it's really about what you want to drink and how you want to enjoy your Friday night. Sometimes it's booze, sometimes it's a lot. And then we've even gone through, we used to just drink 3 beers or 3 or more a show. Now we're down to, drinking whatever, last couple of shows I've been drinking like 2 beers. Tonight it looks like I'm only going to have 1, but we'll see. But it's a big one, and it's a nice one, and it's a nice sipper. And it's also one that, like, I believe that when you have a bomb or two and a dark beer, it's nice to be able to have it really, really cold and then have some as it warms up. And
so you get the variance there. Yeah.
Different experience. But tonight, funny thing is that our guest, Jeff Bogle, that we had scheduled, he's not a beer drinker. And then our guest that we have right now is not, he's any beer drinker, but he doesn't drink, conventional beers anymore. And we can talk to him about why and all that. We'll get into that. But it's about what you want to drink. So it's Brothers in Booze, but at the same time, you are not required to drink booze on this stream, especially if you're a guest. And so it's funny how we
Or at
replaced
home. Or at home.
one non-alcoholic drinker with another non-alcoholic drinker is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And
diverse like that.
We are, and it's a great time to have this conversation with Matt. We're about to bring him on, but I have a couple more things to say because Matt's a talker and it's fantastic. But like once we get him on, I just want to like focus on what we can talk to him about. But one of the great things about what Matt is going to talk to us about is about having even more sober holidays. Sometimes holidays, with all the stress of the holiday, whether it be you're entertaining, whether it be you're working, whether it be the gifts, whether it be, you know what I mean, the stress. I was going to say that crazy uncle that won't shut the hell up about politics. Even if you agree with his politics, you want him to shut the fuck up. Even if you don't agree with his politics, you want him to shut the fuck up. I mean, you have all different kinds. You got your friends. Now we have this pandemic. And whether we need to have people over or not, who's coming over, are your kids bringing over their boyfriend, girlfriend? I mean, there's just so much on holidays. People sometimes just go to the alcohol immediately, and that sometimes sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work at all. So it's great that we have Matt on. We had him on last year, but it's also good. I made a snafu in the scheduling. And I had Matt booked, and then I ended up booking Ariana and Mark over him. And then I had to tell Matt, like, man, I need to get those guys in because at least they were like fresh, and I told him. And Matt was gracious and cool about it. But now that Jeff had a snafu, it was wonderful that I was able to ask Matt to come on. And it was also great that Matt was available. So and we're also going to talk to him really quick about he is a chef. He doesn't do it by trade anymore, but motherfucker's a chef. I've had his food. He's fantastic. So we'll be able to talk about Doug, are you cooking Christmas?
No, not anything fancy.
Okay. But Christmas is one of those days where Christmas is another one of those days like Thanksgiving where the food needs to be right. And it needs to be right. It's just a special day. Like, so there's pressure on that. So we're going to get some tips and tricks from him on how we, damn right he does. I don't know what damn right he does means.
That means, that was me. I was commenting to Tepper's comment about Zach Rosen.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I thought you were saying damn right. Matt knows what he's talking about food.
Well,
damn
right, he does. That too. It is a comment that works in multiple levels. I contain multitudes, Greg.
Right. So without further ado, here's Matt. I hope you liked your entrance. I hope I gave you just due, but everybody's about to see what I was talking about and how I feel. How you doing, Matt?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Great. And what's in the glass? Because I know you're excited about sharing. Oh, another thing real quick. Sorry, Matt. Matt is an ambassador for Athletic Brewing, which is one of the best, if not the best, non-alcoholic brewers in this country. I mean, no one will. Some of you might argue with me on that, but you can in the comments, and we can talk about that. But I think it's one of the best NA brewers in the fucking country. Matt's an ambassador. I had to say that before anything. So sorry, Matt. What's in the glass? And then we can get into all that.
So I spent the whole summer doing IPAs and sours and really enjoying it. And I've been looking forward to the fall because the fall brings the dark beer season. And I'm drinking my favorite that they've come out with so far. Well, one of my favorites that they've come out with so far this year, which is a maple brown ale that Athletic put out this year. They actually brewed it with maple water, which is something I had to look up. So it's like the maple version of coconut water. But you can see it's got a nice dark color. I mean, I poured it a while ago. But I think what I like about it versus last year, the maple brown was a little on the sweet side for me. There's something about the maple water that just, it gives you that maple flavor, but it's not like the maple syrup flavor.
Oh.
So it's like a nice brown ale with those maple notes, just not
really
sweet.
Good.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Sounds really good. Let's talk about. Looks like Doug is having technical difficulties, so he'll be back. He'll be back soon. But let's talk about how you came to love the NA beers. Give everybody a little bit of backstory about why you're in the NA beers, and also give us a little bit of how like how it's evolved. Meaning, you think that these beers really taste like beer now, and we come from the whole O'Doul's and all that mess, and people are like, give us everybody a little bit of history about you and NA beers, and then tell us about what you think the current state of NA beers are.
So I drank professionally for a good long time. I was a professional chef for 25 years. I'm old enough that the drinking age was 18 for me. So, we started drinking at about 15 or 16 when you could pass a fake ID.
Yeah.
I drank a lot. And when I stopped cooking and I became a stay-at-home dad, it became very clear that my drinking was not normal, that I was drinking at a problematic level. And I tried to cut back, and I wasn't, I was still drinking. I just was hiding it better. And eventually my doctor informed me that it was time to quit drinking if I planned on seeing my child grow up to adulthood. And I quit. And it sucked. And my wife will attest to the fact that I was a flaming asshole for a good 3 or 4 months. But in the end, it was worth it. And I probably went like 4 or 5 years, just like everybody else, like most other people who quit drinking, living on soda and iced tea and water. And, if you were at an event and you wanted something that wasn't like what felt like a kid drink, you'd get like cranberry juice with club soda and maybe a little lime, and you could feel vaguely, adult about it. And it was annoying. And at some point, we were out with my wife's family, and they were all drinking like high-end wine at a nice restaurant and having cocktails beforehand. And I noticed that they had some European imported NA beer on their menu. I want to say it was Erdinger. And I ordered it just out of academic curiosity, because much like you, all I remembered was the O'Doul's from the early 90s. And my memory was it tasted like soap.
Shit.
I just remember it, like literally, I remember thinking this tastes like soap. And I can't remember off the top of my head what it tasted like. I think I had one a couple of months ago and couldn't even finish it. Like out of curiosity, I was at a restaurant, they had it. I'm like, what the hey? And left half of it in the bottle. But this was actually good. It tasted like beer. And immediately I went to my local like big box beer store, which is the Total Wine and More. And they actually had like a whole shelf of non-alcoholic beer. And it wasn't just like, hey, this is Coors non-alcoholic beer, Budweiser non-alcoholic beer. They had IPAs and stouts and like Hell's lagers and like craft beer. And I kind of went crazy. I started buying any of them and all of them that I could find. And then right as the pandemic hit, I discovered the best part about it, which is that you can mail order all of it because it's non-alcoholic. So like UPS will just leave a box on your doorstep. You don't even have to leave the house to buy it. And it feels good because, you're giving money directly to the brewery. You're not paying to the distributor and everybody else when you order direct. And I started ordering direct and finding out that most of these NA breweries, in addition to the stuff that you could find at your local bottle shop or your local, liquor store, they were doing all of these amazing one-off pilot brews that were only available online. And as time went on, I found that I was just gravitating more and more towards the Athletic Brewing beer because they had a huge variety of pilot brews, and I just really liked their beer. And I had been doing it a while, and a friend of mine recommended that I apply for their ambassador program, and I laughed because, as you can tell from the name, most of the ambassadors for Athletic Brewing are athletes and like real athletes. Like, Athletic Brewing is the title sponsor of the Ironman in Oceanside, California, as well as the Ironman in Spain in the last year. So, these are like real athletes. We have an Ironman team, that actually goes and competes, and that's insane. And my thought was, they're not going to be interested. I mean, my athletic activity is I would tromp through the woods looking for wild mushrooms and chase a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And, my friend is like, well, just apply. What's the worst that happens? They say no. And I was like, all right, what the hey? And I applied, and come to find out, they actually let me in. And that was in April of last year, just this December, because the contracts go January to January. Just this past December, I re-signed my contract, so I'm an ambassador for another year. But yeah, you're looking at these are some of the selections that they have. That Hometown Harvest is amazing. It's a 12-pack. And Athletics Original Brewery is in Stratford, Connecticut. And they opened a second brewery in San Diego because they just couldn't keep up with the demand. And they always did this Hometown Harvest beer where they would bring in all their grains from local producers and all their hops as locally as they could. So this year they did 2 of them. They did one that's all local to San Diego and one that's all local to Connecticut. And they're both just this local harvest IPA. And you order the 12-pack and you get 6 of each. When I got them in, I was really surprised because my taste generally goes to more of the New England IPA than the West Coast IPA. And this year, I actually like the California one more than I like the Connecticut one. I mean, they're both good beers. It's just I prefer the California one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are correct. The almost 8-year-old and almost 5-year-old are an event. However, after I became an ambassador, they do these crazy challenges for the ambassadors. I don't get paid or anything. Basically, if I post something on social media, I get points. And you can trade those points in to get, free merchandise or, let's be honest, free beer. I usually get the beer. I can buy T-shirts. But as I kept looking at all of these other ambassadors and all the great stuff they were doing, it was kind of different, and you felt kind of out of place. And then last Memorial Day, it was the 3rd anniversary of them being a brewery, and they issued a challenge out to the ambassadors where you were going to do a triathlon over the 3-day weekend. You had to swim for 30 minutes, run for 3 miles, and bike for 30 miles. And you had 3 days to do it. Now, I lost Friday because my wife was working, and, childcare in the days of COVID at a gym, not so much. So on Saturday, I went into my gym and I swam laps in the pool and did the run. And then the next day, on Monday, I came out and actually did all the 30 miles of biking. And got this crazy idea that, if I could do this in 2 days, I can do this in 1, and made up my mind that I was going to do a triathlon before I turned 50 in February. And so I bought a bike. That was piece number 1 because I did not own one of those, and started cycling and swimming and running. And this past October, I actually did my first triathlon. I finished. I will be the first one to point out I came in dead last, but that's okay. I didn't expect to win. My whole goal was to get over the finish line before they disqualified me.
You were out there.
Yeah.
I actually just finished signing up for the next season's worth of triathlons today. I've got 5 of them in the books. I'm doing 4 more of them that are sprint distance. And then exactly 1 year after my first one, I'm going back in and I'm going to do one that's the full Olympic distance.
Excellent.
And good on you, dude. Seriously.
That's a 1.5 kilometer swim followed by like a 26 or 27 mile bike ride followed by a 10K. And then the next step up from there is the half Ironman and the Ironman, but I don't know if I'll ever feel that crazy.
Yeah, that full Ironman shit, that's like 2.5 miles swim.
It's a 2.5 mile swim followed by like 100-mile bike ride followed by a full marathon.
Yeah,
that's a little beyond me.
Oh, Doug, you and I need to get off our asses more, but not that much.
Yeah. I can admire what you do. I just, I think if I got to that level, that's going to take me several years to get to a point where I could even do that stuff,
Right. But
I won't lie. Yeah. It was terrifying. Like we didn't do the swim in a pool. The swim was in open water in a lake. And about like halfway through the swim, I realized that like if I got tired, there was nowhere to put my feet down. And I began swimming much, much harder, not because I was trying to get speed, but because I didn't want to die. Because like there was a genuine fear of, am I going to be able to do this? The bike ride was the easy part for me. I enjoyed the bike ride. That was the one that I did was a 750 meter swim, a 20-mile bike ride, and a 5K. And I think my total time, including transitions, because, you get out the water, you have to take off your wetsuit and put on your cycling gear. And then when you finish the bike ride, you have to get out of your cycling gear, put on running shoes, and run. Mm-hmm. My total time was 2 hours and 55 minutes. And the cutoff was 3.5 hours.
Hey man, you were well away from the cutoff, so that's
right, which
great.
Was all that mattered to me. Is I just didn't want them to come up to me partway through and be like, "You're too slow. Just go home."
Right, we're shutting this down. So, doubling back, a fantastic story, but doubling back to the NA beer, it's just amazing how far this industry has come in such a short time. Yes, it's been around forever. I got it. So, like, ultimately, you could tag me and say, look, man, this shit's been along. So the evolution's taken a long ass time. But at the same time, I'm going to sit here and tell you that this shit is crazy. I haven't been to Athletics website recently, but I don't know if you've seen when I was scrolling here, Doug. I saw an ESB. I saw a Thai IPA.
Thai coconut IPA.
It's crazy. And I live near, I don't live near one that is as big as Athletic, but I also live near one that is actually starting to do a lot of these things. Untitled Art and Octopi, Doug, I don't know if you know, they've jumped into this NA sensation, and it's fantastic. So I got a question for you here, Matt, but I want to explain one thing though. Like, to me, NA beers are almost like the seltzer thing. I think a lot of people are now, whether true or not, because Matt, one thing I need to kind of talk to you about is the health aspect or not of these beers. There is a debate on whether we've had a couple healthy debates in the group about whether there's a health aspect to this or not, or whether it's just people that want to have beer and then a beverage that is beer, but not, be able to, drink the alcohol part. So, but my point is that I feel that like NA beers and seltzers are coming up together. I feel that there are trends where people, whether it's true or not, people believe that NA beer is health conscious or not, and Matt's going to talk to us about that. But there is an angle of people who want healthier alcoholic beverages, and I believe both of them are kind of coming up in that. Now, again, I understand comments are going to kill me maybe, but like, because some of these seltzers aren't healthy, period. They're just not. They're either sugared down or all that. But I just want you to talk about how you feel that the industry's come up, being someone who has really grabbed this and run with it the past couple of years. And also, what about the health aspect? Is there really one? Is it over? Is it, I know you're an ambassador, so you got to walk this line, but you don't have to walk a line. You can keep it real with us.
Yeah.
Where do you think that all is? And yeah, so first of all, where do you think that, how do you think that trend coming up and all that? And then, talk about the health aspect, please.
So the big explosion that you see is an explosion here in America. The reality is, in Europe, there has been a low alcohol and non-alcoholic beer world for decades. It has always been a part of people's lives in Europe. It really started to take hold here in America around 2016, 2017. I know athletics started in 2017. I want to say Bravis might have been around 2016 or so. Well-being was around 2018. But several of these non-alcoholic breweries popped up, and they didn't pop up because they felt like it. Like, there was a market there. You're not going to get this many breweries doing only non-alcoholic beer if there isn't a market there for it. As far as the market, I think it's a combination of things. I'm very staunchly old school Gen X. I mean, I was born in 1972. I grew up a latchkey kid in the 80s. It was a very different world. When I was growing up and I was going to college, like, drinking was just a part of life. It's what everybody did. A lot of kids these days are not drinking the way that we did. Like, alcohol is not nearly as much a part of this younger generation's life as it is a part of my generation. And I've found that across the board with friends of mine who have kids. That just, it's not that they don't drink because they're afraid of it. They just don't care to drink. This offers an option. I can't stress how nice it feels to be able to share a beer with somebody, whether it's got alcohol in it or not. It just feels like a more grown-up drink than having a Coca-Cola or an iced tea at a restaurant. When everybody wants to, hoist up their glass and a toast, and you put up your Shirley Temple, you don't exactly feel like a grown-up. This lets me feel like I'm having an adult beverage. I get to participate in the whole ritual of, the bonding and sharing a beer with folks. And it's nice.
Amen.
There's still a stigma attached to non-alcoholic beer. There's not a day goes by that, somebody doesn't make the response of, why do you bother doing this? And, why bother drinking it if it doesn't have alcohol? And my answer has always been, because beer tastes good. I mean, if I was capable of drinking alcoholic beer and maintaining control of myself, I would enjoy beer because it tastes good. I don't have that ability. So I went for a long time just not being able to drink beer. And now, with all of this wonderful non-alcoholic craft beer out there, now I can enjoy having a beer again.
Crazy.
Enjoy the taste and just not have to deal with the alcohol. As far as the health aspect goes, is it a healthy beverage? No. I mean, let's be honest. It's got calories in it. It's got carbs in it. Is it better for you than a soda? Probably. Is it better for you than beer with alcohol? Yes. I mean, alcohol isn't good for you. Ask any doctor and they will tell you that. I would not say it is a health beverage as much as I would say it is a healthier beverage. I think is a much better way of communicating it. Now, by the same token, all right, doesn't have it on this one. On most of their cans, they put their nutritional information, the ones that aren't the pilot program. Like for instance, this is the Ready Front IPA. And their Ready Front IPA in a 12-ounce can has 60 calories, 14 grams of carbs.
Let's see the can again. Okay. Let's see the front of it. Doug's a can art guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this is a charity beer that they did. This was for Veterans Day. There's a specific hop grower out on the West Coast that does hops where you buy the hops from them and they give a large percentage of the money to different charities. They do one with the Pink Boots Society and that type of thing. So they were doing a special blend just for veterans groups. So not only did Athletic buy all of their hops from that particular farm, which donated money, then Athletic took all the proceeds from this entire batch of beer and split the donations between Catch a Lift, which enables combat wounded veterans to recover, rehabilitate, and regain purpose through nutrition, fitness, emotional wellness, and community. And the other charity that they gave it to was Team RWB, which is there to enrich the lives of America's veterans by connecting them to their community through physical and social activity. So like every dime that they made off of this beer went to charity. And it's still available on the website if you want to pick some up. And it's definitely, it's a good cause. In addition to that, Athletic also donates, they have a program called Two for the Trails, where 2% of their sales every year they donate to trail maintenance and trail building grants across everywhere where they're in the market. They gave away over $1 million last year, over $1 million in grants. Mm-hmm. I think some of the largest ones were in like the 5,000 to 10,000 range. A lot of them were smaller, but it was enabling people to, do trail maintenance or build new hiking and biking trails and that type of thing, because Athletic wants to promote that like active lifestyle out there. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that. You found some of the wet hop.
They did hop. You got an
They
ESP.
did 2 wet hops this year. They did
They
did one wet hop that was Maine Cascade hops, and then they did the Idaho 7 that was more of a West Coast style.
Y'all out here wilding.
I mean, it's insane. It's insane.
It is actually right. What's up, Doug?
So, Matt, that I didn't realize they had that many things, so that's pretty awesome. And I'm gonna have to look, especially like to get an ESB. ESBs, even alcohol ESBs, are not easy to find in the United States for some reason. So, finding an NA version that would be cool.
That literally got released less than a week ago, and my delivery of it showed up yesterday. I've had one out of the 12-pack, and it's a good ESB.
Yeah.
The only other NA one that I've found was from the Self-Care line, which is 3 Magnets Brewing in Olympia, Washington. They put together their own non-alcoholic line called Self-Care, and they do an ESB called Fuzzy Hat.
Yeah, and I had that one on the show last week, by the way.
Yeah, it's got that like British soldier with the big, tall, fuzzy hat thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was the first NA ESB I've ever had.
So I'm going to jump into the NA thing on a suggestion you gave me, Matt.
Okay.
So this was a Dark Sarcasm Porter from Barrel Brothers, NA Porter. So they are out of California, Windsor in Sonoma County. So I have not had this yet. I ordered some. I will say, as Matt warned me, that the shipping for them is pretty steep.
Brutal.
So, yeah. So, but I wanted to try it because, hey, I'm going to try some interesting things. So we're going to give this a try and see how it pairs up to being like a porter that has alcohol in it. I mean, that pour is really nice, right? got the nice dark look to it.
I have not had their.
It smells roasty as hell. I mean, it smells just like a super good roasty porter. Oh man. It's not as thick as a regular porter, but it's not going to be. But it's got all the roasty notes you want. That nice, you get that kind of almost bitter taste from the roast. That like you have like a really strong coffee kind of flavor. This is like the kind of porter you could really drink when it's warm out. Sometimes the porters that they're so roasty that like in the summer they don't hit as well simply because they feel a little heavier. They feel like they're built for fall and winter. Interesting was on the side. One of the things they said was the style notes were that we call this dark beer for people who don't like dark beers. And I can see why. It's because it's not thick. It's not like really heavy. It's like I said, thin is the wrong word because that denotes like it's not good. That's not what I mean. I mean, it's just very drinkable. And, I would get more of these if the shipping wasn't so insane for them. But yeah.
What I find is that it across the board with all of the NA beers that I have tried, with the exception of one, when it comes to the darker beers, one of the big hits that they take is on the mouthfeel. Just without the alcohol content, you're never going to get that thick, heavy mouthfeel that you get from an imperial stout.
Nope. But
I mean, it's just not going to happen. But you can get all the flavors that are quite wonderful. The one exception to that is that one of my friends in the NA community was actually running this crazy 200 some odd mile relay race across North Carolina. And I happened to be around one day when they were doing it. So I went and met them on the course with like salami and pastrami and bacon and some non-alcoholic beer for them to enjoy. And as a thank you, they brought me a single can of Guinness 0.0, which Guinness has put out a non-alcoholic Guinness. And damn, did they get it right. It is supposed to be available here in the States at some point in 2022. It is not here yet. There are people who are bringing duffel bags of it back with them after they travel to Europe. One of the people that's in an NA beer group that I'm in on Facebook brought an entire case of them in a duffel bag home with him from his trip to Ireland. But they put it in the Guinness can with like the nitrous widget and everything, just like the draft can of Guinness.
Nice.
And let me tell you, it pours like a Guinness and it has a much thicker mouthfeel than anything else that I can. They don't run the relay races with salami, but during one of the transition points, I just brought some so that they had snacks because, you got to keep those protein levels up when you're racing.
I think Zach's implying it's like the human centipede relay race.
Not quite that. Not quite that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, folks, for that image.
As get into that Dave. Yes, that Dave's American Dark Malt is amazing. I bought a 12-pack of it when it first came out and literally was 3 beers in and went to order another 12-pack and it was sold out. When it got back in stock, I ordered another 12-pack. So I think I've got about 15 of them left right now. But they came out with the Dave's American Dark, and then they came out with an Athletic Light at the same time. And the light is exactly what it says it is. It's a good light beer, but it's a light beer with 25 calories and 5 grams of carbs. Which that's a heck of a lawnmower beer right there.
Yeah. That's a good point, Daniel. Maybe the nitro is how you can actually infuse sort of that mouthfeel that you want. Like, yeah, you don't get quite like the one I have. It tastes like a porter. The mouthfeel is it's different because, like you said, you're not going to get the body that you get with the alcohol portion of it. I mean, I think that's a really freaking good alternative. But maybe the nitro is a way to go about giving that sort of the mouthfeel that we're used to it. But
it is, and I've never had the opportunity to try one of the NA like stouts or darker beers on draft.
mm-hmm.
I know that Athletic has a tap room in Connecticut. When I did make a trip up there, because of the way my schedule worked out, I had to leave the day they opened. Like they were only open on Saturday and Sunday, and I was leaving Saturday morning, and it was like an 11-hour drive home. So I couldn't stay to hang out. The next time I'll make sure I plan better. But I don't know. Maybe it's better draft than it is in a can.
Maybe.
I know that
curious. Yeah.
They were kind enough to do an ambassador happy hour last Wednesday, where they brought in our head brewer and two of the other like brewers, one from Connecticut and one from San Diego, and did a little Q&A with the ambassadors, minus any of the like proprietary stuff that we're not allowed to know.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the questions that was asked was, is there going to be a time when non-alcoholic beer can be shipped out in kegs? So that if your bar room wanted to have Athletic on draft, they could do it. Or if you have a kegerator at home, you could get like a pony keg of your favorite one and have it on draft. Mm. And it's a problem that they're working on, but there's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through, because being non-alcoholic without the alcohol to act as a preservative, there are a lot more food safety issues involved.
Yeah.
And they would need to be able to ensure like complete compliance with all of the standard operations to keep it safe from the moment it leaves the brewery until it arrives at its final destination. And as of right now, they're just not at the point where they can do that. It's a hope. It's a hope for down the road.
Yeah, I bet you that they'll figure that out though at some point, right?
Sooner or later, I would hope so. But one of the other big expansions that's happening in the NA world is that more and more traditional breweries are starting to make non-alcoholic beer.
Mm-hmm.
The Three Magnets Brewing doing Self-Care as an example. I'm trying to remember. There's a brewery in Tennessee that does sours that they're really famous for, and I'm blanking on their name.
Yeah, I'm not a big sour fan, so I don't think it's like Wicked Weed. I was thinking Wicked Weed is in the Carolinas. So
it's not. It's not Wicked Weed. But regardless, they've just started. They just released their first NA sour.
Yeah, Daniel said was it Yazoo?
No, I don't think it was Yazoo. Give me a second, and I'll find the message. Southern Grist Brewing.
Southern Grist.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've begun doing a non-alcoholic fruited sour called Parallel. There you go. It's Southern Grist.
Thanks, Jerry.
But little by little, more and more like traditional breweries are doing this because, honestly, I spent my career working in the restaurant business, and the last thing that you want to do is turn down a source of income. If I go to a brewery with my friends to hang out as a non-drinker, they're not able to sell me beer. Mm-hmm. If they have a non-alcoholic beer available, I'm going to buy it. Versus me drinking soda or water that they're not going to make the same amount of profit off of.
Yeah.
It's just good business sense. And there's another company that's based out of Minnesota, of all places, called Abv Technologies, that has actually created a portable machine that will de-alcoholize any craft brewer's beer, where literally you can just pay them a fee and hand them a couple of kegs of whatever beer you want, and it will take the alcohol out, and it will give them a non-alcoholic beer and an unflavored cider that they can then sell. Huh. Or not cider, an unflavored, what do you call it?
Seltzer.
Yeah. Like it yields non-alcoholic beer and seltzer, and then they can put adjuncts in the seltzer and sell the seltzer and sell the NA beer. My local neighborhood brewery called Full Steam actually did a Mexican lager with them. And it was absolutely delicious. I got to go in and drink a non-alcoholic draft beer at the brewery. It was wonderful. And then I bought 2 crowlers to take home.
Yeah, that's like having that. Like, I have no idea how much that machine costs. That's
Oh yeah,
but like the idea of that, of being able to say, "Hey, now I wonder how long that process takes." Like, do they have to go
again?
Like, is it something where like, okay, well, we're going to do X amount of non-alcoholic, so throw it in, so you have them ready. But is it something where you can just be like, here, I'm going to throw this in, and 2 minutes later, voila. I can't imagine.
I can't imagine it's that fast. I mean, I imagine it's a process. I know that you have to do, there has to be at least a certain volume.
Yeah.
Because I was speaking to the taproom manager at Full Steam because I was so excited to see it. And I'm like, is this something that you guys are going to do with any regularity? And she was like, we're really just going to have to see how it sells. Because in her mind, she's giving up a tap to put this non-alcoholic beer in, and it's either going to sell or they're going to have to throw it away when it goes stale.
Yeah.
Because everything has a shelf life. So she has to do that math to figure out what's best for them. But it is nice to see more traditional breweries recognizing that this is a growth market and that they can get involved in this. And, you were talking about how everything out there is available. I give you everything. So this is a bottle called Gravitas. If I'm not mistaken, this is the 3rd year. This is from Bravas Brewing, which is based out of San Diego, I believe. But this is a barrel-aged bourbon stout that is non-alcoholic.
That's amazing. Yeah. Is it a breakfast dark? Is that what Jerry was asking? Is that the... No, okay.
No, this isn't the breakfast dark. The breakfast dark is part of their regular lineup. This is a limited offering that they do once a year. They make 30 barrels of it. They limit you to 2 bottles per person. It's only available by mail order. And when it's gone, it's gone. Last year, I heard about it and I missed it. And then by sheer dumb luck, I entered a contest on Instagram and I won. And they sent me a bottle of last year's and a really nice little Tiku cup with their label, with their logo and like a gold rim.
Very nice.
So this year I actually set the alarm on my phone to wake me up and made sure that I got my 2 bottles. It sold out in less than 4 hours. In less than 4 hours, you couldn't get it. And then at some point, it briefly came back in a gift set where you could get 1 bottle and the glass. So, there are several people who bought that, even though they didn't necessarily want the glass because, but hey, you can always use another Tiku, right?
Extra glass, or is a good thing.
You definitely smell the bourbon barrel. That is not a smell that I am used to getting.
Right. Yeah, NA beers,
But, you can see it's got a nice head on it. The other one I'll probably save for like New Year's Eve to have something special.
I'd be curious about the tasting notes out of that.
Oh, man.
If we get tasting notes from Matt after that, oh, man.
So it definitely, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, David Rogers, I tipped him off that they still had the gift set available when he missed it. And I think he ended up with another Tiku.
Right.
Although the Tiku this year looks better than the one that I have. Instead of saying Bravas, it actually has the Gravitas across it in the much prettier font.
Yeah.
But wow. It definitely has some sweetness to it. There's a lot of like molasses, but honestly, the main flavor is straight up bourbon. I mean, it has that like bourbon sour mash taste to it.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah,
I mean, there's definitely. I mean, it's hitting the chocolate notes. It definitely has like some sweetness and molasses to it, but the bourbon barrel flavor comes through strong. And now, granted, unlike most barrel aged, they put on the bottle that this is best by, and I think the date on it is 3/22 this year, and they tell you up front, keep it refrigerated and don't try to cellar it, because without the alcohol in it as a preservative, it's not going to do good things if you just let it sit for a year. The way that like an imperial stout will. These are made for buying and drinking and enjoying. But yeah. So this is a 1 pint and 9.4 fluid ounces in the bottle. So I think that's around a 500 milliliter bottle or so. And those were $35 each this year.
Man, so let me get in here quick. Jeff made a comment here about his grandfather didn't drink because he liked to carry around an empty bottle of beer at family Thanksgivings, so that he could feel that the beer connection that Matt's talking about. I want to make a point about breweries having, you talked about how this brewery has non-alcoholic beer on tap. And I think that's an aspect of, and I'll let you speak to it, Matt, but of course, I think there's an aspect of, as someone who's non-alcoholic, who hasn't gone through that, it made me think about the social isolation aspect of being an alcoholic and not being able to go out with your friends or even accept an invite to a brewery, because you know that there's going to be a lot of people drinking there, and it's going to be tough in that angle. But there's also an angle of them really not having anything for you. But as you mentioned before, like Shirley Temples or like Kitty Drinks, where that's just not the same as a beer, really. So this is another wonderful side thing. I don't know if people thought about it when they were doing non-alcoholic beers, but in order to have them be so accessible that they are, and then just have a different variety where you're not just stuck with the shitty O'Doul's. And O'Doul's is a shitty beer, in my personal opinion. It tastes garbage. And if that's what I wouldn't go. But if I were alcoholic and I went to Doug's house and Doug and Jill are going out and they're like, hey, let's go to this new brewery. They have great food. That's another aspect. Breweries have great food nowadays. So they're not just breweries, they're restaurants. A lot of them. Yep. And some breweries, with all due respect, are better food places than they are beer places. We'll leave that aside. But my point is that, Matt, we're going to get into this a little bit too after this question, but you are a foodie too by profession and by nature. So you understand what I'm saying. So then how many times have you maybe in the past or any other alcoholic said, no, I can't go to Great Dane Brewing with y'all, or no, I'm going to skip that, even if there is food, because they just don't have the beverage that you could, have the community with. Beer is a community drink. I'm in this area because I love the aspects of beer bringing people together. I love the aspects of the community. I love the social angle. I love being able to, or at least before the panty, walking into a damn brewery and just friending everybody that wanted to be friended and talk to people. So I don't know if you want to talk to the social angle of non-alcoholic beer and how it's either helped you or not, or do you see and feel what I was just talking about?
Well, I'll preface by saying everybody's journey in sobriety is different. I don't think, even with a non-alcoholic option available, in the first year or two of my sobriety, that it would have been a good idea for me to have gone to a brewery. even if they had a good non-alcoholic beer available, I just
Mhm.
don't think I was strong enough in being sober to not fall off the wagon with that kind of opportunity. And there are some people who probably will never reach that point.
Mhm.
If you look at like the Alcoholics Anonymous program, they are very anti NA beer or any type of like non-alcoholic, alcohol substitute type things because they feel like that's just bringing you into a situation of temptation.
Gotcha.
And that program works really, really well for some people, and it doesn't work
Gotcha.
for other people. It was never my path, but I got
Right.
mad respect for the people who that works for because they got people who have been sober for 30 and 40 years
40
because of
years.
AA.
Yep.
As far as the social aspect and the food aspect goes, man, I can't lie. It is so nice to be able to pair beer with food again. My wife and I have this crazy tradition where every year on our anniversary, we eat a meal that has one course for every year that we've been married. And this year was our 12th anniversary. And our anniversary is on the 4th of July. So the beautiful thing is, the whole country shoots off fireworks just for us. I know you think it's for America, but it's for us. And the other thing that was nice about it was that our anniversary this year fell in that beautiful sweet spot during the summer, where like for that brief period between
2
vaccination
minutes.
and Delta,
Mhm.
yeah, like
2 minutes.
we fell in that window.
Right.
And I was actually able to call up a chef friend of mine here in town and literally tell her, look, we're looking at this is the dollar limit of what we have to spend.
Mhm.
I need a 12-course meal. The only rule is that the first course needs to be oysters because we do raw oysters every year for the first course. And she did it. And they actually bought athletic beer to put behind to have behind the bar to give me something to drink with my meal. Which is fantastic. And the best part was, as they were bringing my athletic out, I watched athletic go out to other tables. So I was not the only person doing it. This is not just for people who don't drink alcohol. You can't taste 8 beers in a night and still have taste buds left after about beer number 5.
Right.
I
already know.
Yeah. But the fact is, if you're going to be hanging out with your friends and you're doing a backyard barbecue and you're starting at like 11 o'clock in the morning and the party's going until 8 or 9 o'clock at night, you can slip like a non-alcoholic beer in every other beer, and you're still drinking beer with the guys, but you don't end up passed out, partied out on the ground at 3 in the afternoon. You might be the designated driver that night, and it gives you a beer that you can enjoy. But honestly, it's just really nice to be able to drink a beer that pairs well with food. I mean, we've all done beer pairings. And what's funny is before the non-alcoholic beer world like caught up with this idea, I could go out to the fanciest restaurant in the world, but I was ending up drinking iced tea with dinner. Because on top of everything else, I'm a type 2 diabetic, so I can't even have the sugary sodas. And if the bartender offers to make you a mocktail, 9 times out of 10, it's like simple syrup and 4 kinds of fruit juice.
Yep.
So it's basically candy in a glass. Although they are getting much better about that now. And they're actually making some true craft cocktails with non-alcoholic spirits. There's a whole host of actual, what they're calling bars, which are bars like any other bar. They've got pool tables and dartboards and everything else. They just only serve non-alcoholic drinks.
Amen. So before we move on to the next thing I would love to talk about, is we got some questions here. Jerry wants to know, Matt String, what is do you have any NA spirits that you enjoyed? I find the Ritual whiskey alternative better than Lie's American Malt.
Liar, yeah, the Liar's American Malt. I haven't had the Liar's American Malt. For the whiskey alternatives, I've had Monday's whiskey alternative, I've had Kentucky 74, and I've had the Ritual whiskey. I don't think there will ever be a good non-alcoholic whiskey. I just don't think it's possible because so much of the flavor of bourbon or whiskey of any kind comes from the chemical reaction between the barrel and the alcohol. And if you remove alcohol from the equation, short of using artificial flavoring, I don't see any way that you can get that. Now, David Rogers said that the Monday NA gin is amazing. I absolutely 100% agree with that. David is the one that turned me on to the Monday gin, and it is by far the best non-alcoholic gin I've ever had. The only thing that is off to it, see, the Monday whiskey, the same thing that I said. It reminded me almost of like an apple brandy. I even went so far in an effort to make it taste better. I actually have French oak chips soaking in mine in the hopes that I might add a little bit more smoky flavor to it. No effect whatsoever. None whatsoever. It still tastes exactly like it did before the wood, because there's no alcohol there to interact with that wood.
With the wood, yeah.
But honestly, the one that I'm all about these days, he mentioned the Ritual whiskey. This Ritual tequila is unreal. It smells like tequila. It tastes like tequila. They even put a little bit of chili pepper, so it's got a little bit of a burn.
Greg, you look dubious.
Huh?
Greg looks dubious. He's a tequila snob.
Well,
I love it.
I will point out, it does not taste like a good tequila. Like it tastes like a good, all of these alcohol like all of the non-alcoholic spirits, all of them will say very, very plainly on their packaging, this is not to be drank straight. These are all for mixing. You do not take a shot. It is not good. It doesn't have the right mouthfeel. It doesn't taste right. But if you make a margarita with this, it will taste like a margarita. I actually, when Angela and me, Angela, the kids went on a vacation right before the summer ended, we went to the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, and we called it our TLC weekend because we spent like a 3-day weekend chasing waterfalls. We went and saw like 6 waterfalls in 3 days. But the Airbnb that we were staying at had a bottle of this, like just out. And I was like, I have to know. And I poured a shot and I took a taste and I was like, all right, that's pretty good. And then I came up with this really weird idea. Over the summer, Athletic did a mango and habanero pepper IPA that they called Mango Nada. And I can honestly tell you, 2 shots of this added into the Mango Nada beer is like the most delicious thing I've ever had. I mean, it is amazingly good.
Real quick, Charlie took off what I was going to say. I was going to say you didn't listen to TLC because you're supposed to stick to the rivers and the lake that you're used to. Because you said you were chasing waterfalls.
We were.
Anyway,
it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Non-alcoholic tequila. Oh my goodness.
I saw an ad the other day for non-alcoholic vodka, which I'm not sure how that could possibly work, because from what I remember, vodka didn't taste like anything. It just tasted like water that burned.
Right.
Good vodka tastes like nothing.
Right. I mean, so
Right.
That's supposed to be the
Right.
earmark of a good vodka is you could drink it and it tastes like a slightly burny water. That's your very good vodka. So I'm not sure what, like I have, I've mentioned in the comments that I have the Optimist whiskey and gin variants, and
Mhm.
they're botanicals. So
Right.
yeah, that. So the whiskey and gin ones were good. I made 2 mocktails for Jill and I. The mocktails, like I said, when you blended them, delicious, really refreshing. I actually didn't mind them on their own. They're not something I would seek out. Don't mistake me like, but they just blend a bunch of different things to try to approximate what that liquor feels like. I will say that like the whiskey mocktail I made, I thought tasted better than the gin one, but that just might be the mocktail I made. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
But the Optimist, I think, is out of California as well. So that's why I was mentioning it to David, because
I mean, there's a bunch of companies that are doing them. One of the reasons that you, at least in my opinion, I think one of the reasons that you see so many of them doing gin is that all of the flavors in gin are really heavy botanical flavors.
Yep.
So it's relatively easy to reproduce that. You know, it's relatively easy with juniper berries and all of the other ingredients that go into gin to create those gin flavors.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Doug, you want to get to your third before I change subjects here?
Yes.
I do. One more comment before Doug gets to his. Matt is a frequent poster, and he's always pretty much hanging out in Daddy Porter's beer group. One of the things about Daddy Porter's beer group that I wanted to change in 2021, but I didn't, but I'm damn well going to do it in 2022, is change it from the perception of having to be a beer group to going to spirits and light drinks and stuff like that, and NA beers. So please feel free, Matt, I know you don't care, feel free to tag Matt in any kind of NA conversation. Call him out in there. He's available. He's great. This is a conversation that it's always one of the liveliest conversations that we have. Doug knows this to be true, and I see a lot of people viewing that don't view normally. When we talk about this, people love this conversation. I continue to be surprised about how, but I shouldn't, because again, this is a new thing that's going on, and people are loving it. Yes, Daddy Porter's Lush Group.
There you go. There's actually an NA beer. There's an NA beer company called the Busty Lush.
Right.
I haven't gotten to try any of their stuff yet, but mad props for the name.
Yes, that might be. I'm with Doug. Ooh, that's really, really good. But I just wanted to say that, like, it's feel free, y'all, whoever's watching, to start talking more about spirits and stuff in there. I'll make a post at some point about it, but let's do it. And again, if you want to tag Matt, he's always open and available to talk about this. But I do have to. We can come back, but I do want to move on and have to, because otherwise I want to get to what else I want to talk about, which is kind of important now. But Doug, what's really important for Doug right now is that he gets his third beer. And Matt, if you have another one that you want to show off, let's do it right now. And then I'm going to change subjects on all y'all asses. Doug, what's going on?
So in a homage to our friend Robert Scroggs getting ready to move out of the country.
Yeah. I'm happy for him, but I'm not happy that he's moving.
1050 barrel aged in honor of our guy. So I am not going to shotgun it like he did on the show, because I'm not insane.
No, and like he does all the damn time. You're not insane, right?
Yeah. And I'm going to use my former guest, Black Bearded Nerd, Ren.
Look at that.
Yes. From him, a little Christmassy style.
Yep, and I was watching the Black Nerd show today, right before we went on, and he was not there, so I want to know what the hell he was doing. I guess he's busy during the holidays.
Yeah.
But what's going on with 1050 barrel age nowadays? The same old?
I'm sure
I wonder if it's the same old. Yeah, is it the same
super
recipe?
Lovely.
Same. Yes.
Super
big
lovely
heavy bourbon note.
Yeah. Oh.
Big heavy, man. That shit is like, that is no joke, that beer. No joke.
Thick, bourbony, sweet.
Right. Big
all what you
bourbon.
expect. And man, just tasty.
It's almost kind of balanced though. Is it still balanced in
Yeah,
a bourbony weird way?
Yeah, you get the nose and the bourbon, and it comes in sweet, and then it finishes with that bourbon burn in the end. It just balances really itself out. It's really, really good. They do that. They do that beer right though, all the time.
Yes, I agree, Jerry. It's not that we're losing a U.S. based friend; we're gaining a friend in Portugal.
Yes,
I agree. That's a wonderful way to look at it.
We're gaining a friend with access to Guinness 0.0.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Damn. So, Matt, you have something else to display or to talk about?
Somebody else mentioned the Dave's American Dark Malt.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
This has been one of my go-tos this fall.
So it's another dark beer, but it's another light dark beer, right?
Right. I mean, like, again, you're not ever going to get that thick stout feeling without the nitro, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can see it pours, nice head. I mean, the color on the head is a nice dark brown. And this is all roasty, toasty malt.
Mm.
Yeah. But really, 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 really well balanced. Yeah, Jerry has obviously had this.
Oh yeah, he loves. I thought I saw a comment earlier that he loves this one.
This has been one of the big surprises of this year for me.
So without, I like to say without. Let's talk about Scroggs real quick. Without Scroggs, we might not know Jerry Richard, but I'm not sure if that's true. I met Jerry Richard through Scroggs, but Jerry Richard, we might have met Jerry Richard through Jeff Tepper. We might have met Jerry Richard through the Barrow and Flow people. So Jerry Richard is out there so much that we probably would have grabbed his ass, or did I? I didn't mean that. Or I
you did, Greg. Oh my!
We might have grabbed him somewhere in this whole thing. Because he's out there so much beer wise. But that being said, Doug, we'll have a non-awkward transition to this real quick. So I don't know if any of y'all are watching anything or saw anything recently, because we didn't ask. I didn't ask y'all. I did, but y'all didn't answer me. But real quick, I got 3 things that I'm watching, and then I'll ask y'all see what's up or that I watched. I watched this fantastic, wonderful movie called Knives Out. Any of y'all seen this? It's fucking great. If you haven't, check it out. It's a whodunit. A lot of people say that it's very Agatha Christie-ish. I've never read Agatha Christie. Maybe I should, because I enjoyed this much. It's it comes in as a comedy. It's funny, but it's not overly comedic, in my opinion. It's funny. It has its funny parts, but it's more of a murder mystery type thing. It keeps your attention, because I have problems with the attention span. So it keeps your attention. And Doug, I watched it like late night one night, and then I introduced my whole family to it, and they all loved it. The next day, everybody watched it. Fantastic, fun, great ensemble. You see a whole bunch of people that you know. It's worth your time for 2 hours. Love it. Number 2 is Southside on HBO Max. This shit, season 1, there's 2 seasons. Season 1 was completely fantastic. It was hilarious. I'm struggling getting through season 2. It's a little bit weirder, but it's still funny. It's about Southside Chicago, and they just try to, like, everybody knows Southside Chicago is, not. Sometimes it's depicted as really a not nice place to live, but it's I believe it's majority black people that live there, and these guys just take it and they just parody like all the black things, Doug, and like they just make fun of it and just make it like so hyped and crazy and silly that it's just great. And lastly, what I've been watching a lot, and I've been meaning to say this isn't just now, but rocket launches. As Matt, we have a thread on Messenger. It's a science thread, and in there, I just post all these rocket launches. They're all over the place. It's not just dick rockets for those who don't. Right. It's not just dick rockets. It's not just billionaires popping off. It's SpaceX. It's a lot of science. It's going back and forth to the space station. It's launching probes. They're just everywhere now. They're always on the internet. If you want to find out, I pretty much chronicle this on my Twitter page, my personal Twitter page, Greg A. Washington, not the Daddy Porter one. But they're just great. They're fun. Matt loves them. We connect on that level for sure.
There's an app.
Look at what he's got behind him. I see old school space shuttle there. I think I see Star Wars.
The other two are Star Wars, but that is the Discovery with the Hubble.
Right. Old
and
school.
Then if you go the other way, we have the ISS, the Saturn V, and the Apollo lander all in Lego.
Excellent. And I always, I could see it 100 times when SpaceX lands one of their Falcon 9s. I don't know if you know, Doug, they shoot it off and then it lands. It's just fucking beautiful.
And they land on like a tiny pad.
Right.
That's
right.
Awesome.
In the middle of the fucking ocean. It's just fucking crazy. So that's what I'm watching. Fantastic. What you got, Matt, as far as what you're watching, or if you want to jump off of my space?
Well, I will say one thing on the space thing is that since you turned me on to it, I found an app that's free. It's called Next Spaceflight.
Oh.
And if you get the app, it literally gives you alerts for every launch anywhere on the planet.
Oh,
and you will find out that they're launching something in India, and you can watch the live stream of it on YouTube, and you won't understand a word that they're saying, but you still get to see the rocket.
Right.
And it'll give you like a 24-hour warning, an hour warning, and a 10-minute warning.
Yes.
So if you set the alerts on your phone, you will never miss one. And it's a free app. It's just called Next Spaceflight. It has a little rocket ship.
Oh, I'm going to do that, and that's not going to be good. It's not. Because Matt, you already know I'm on it all the time.
Well, I know.
So
this is easy, though. This gives you the ability to just get the heads up that it's coming.
Right. So, Matt, I didn't really ask you. Do you have anything you're watching?
Oh, yeah. So I'm a nerd. I mean, in case anybody doesn't already know that by the large amounts of Star Wars Lego behind me. I've been watching. I'm really excited for the final, sad and excited for the final season of
The Expanse.
The Expanse. Thank you. I'm blanking. The final season of The Expanse. At the same time that I'm watching the final season, I'm also reading the final book. Because the author has finally released the last book. Well, I say reading. I'm listening to it on Audible because I have small children and they don't let me read books.
That still counts.
Yeah. If you open a book, they want to play with the pages. But I've been watching that, and that's been a lot of fun. I'm also really super excited that Amazon has finally decided to put the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan into a TV show. It's one of those fantasy series that started like way long ago, and it was supposed to be a trilogy. Then it was going to be 5 books. Then it was going to be 8 books. Then it was going to be like 12 books. And right around book 11, he went and wrote a prequel. And then before he could write book 12, he died. And the whole nerd world got like really upset, and his widow found a young author named Brandon Sanderson that Robert Jordan really enjoyed his work, and basically gave all of Robert Jordan's notes to Brandon Sanderson, and he finished the series.
Okay, Brandon Sanderson I'm familiar with. I'd never read the Wheel of Time stuff, but Brandon Sanderson writes doesn't he write like high fantasy? Is that?
Oh yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah. Brandon Sanderson writes amazing high fantasy. He is probably my favorite fantasy writer in existence. He also writes some sci-fi stuff. He's done a really, really interesting YA novel that has to do with like humans being trapped on a planet because there's all of this junk orbiting around the planet and they can't get off, which is kind of topical in today's world as we all worry about space junk and the rest of it.
Kind of like the opposite of Wall-E.
Yes. Yes. Yes,
Okay.
and you are correct, Charles. Season 2 of The Witcher did drop today.
Yep.
I am watching that, although I will not lie, I consider The Witcher much more like fluff. The
fair.
other one that I am really excited to watch these days, and this is a contrary one, I really, really like the new Star Trek Discovery. There's a lot of hate going out towards Star Trek Discovery right now for reasons, I guess.
Black female
Captain,
right? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
black female main character.
Yep. Okay.
You know, takes place like thousands and thousands of years in the future beyond all of the other Star Trek series. There was a lot of pushback against it from the beginning. They're starting season 3 now, and my wife
Paramount Plus, right? Paramount Plus. Okay.
Yeah. Angela and I have watched it from season 1, and honestly, I really like it. Part of what I thought was really, really neat is in this season, they've actually started bringing up the idea of like mental health and self-care in Star Trek. You know, like one of the people goes through trauma and is having all these problems.
Normalizing that shit.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Eventually ends up going to the doctor and being like, I need to talk. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to see that kind of thing getting normalized. But yeah, those are my big 3 that I am all about these days.
Amen. So that's one on Paramount Plus, one on Amazon, and I forget
2 on Amazon.
2 on Amazon. Yeah. Excellent. Doug, what's going on? I know you shared something here, so I'll tee it up once you talk about it.
Yeah, so in my house, several of my kids are really into anime. I am not. I struggle with it's the animation style that's a problem for me. I as someone who's hard of hearing, when I'm watching stuff, I don't mind watching stuff with subtitles. That's actually helpful for me in a lot of ways. But the animation style of like standard anime, like Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer and all the sort of popular ones, not my gig. One of our kids is really, really, really into anime and recommended this show called Arcane, which is on Netflix. And I will say it's done by Riot Games, so it's done by a game studio. What's super interesting is if you see even the characters, all the characters have different animation styles almost.
Oh,
it's really fascinating and it's interesting to watch it play on screen because different characters have different, characteristics and how do they make that work because they're different animation styles. It's really good. And Matt Avrisala from The Expanse is one of the characters in it. So, and Greg, to tie that together, Avrisala in The Expanse, if you remember when we had Jackie Summers on and I said there was a character he absolutely fawns over, that's his character on The Expanse. So
gotcha.
A little thread tie into that show.
Gotcha.
I'm only an episode in, so I can't say too far, but I really, really enjoyed how they did the first episode. So this week has been a freaking mess. I haven't had a chance to watch any of it. So next week I plan on getting into it. And,
I binged it. It's incredible.
Yeah, kudos to my kid for finding something that we can actually talk about because I just really can't get into anime, and that's basically their steady diet of stuff. And I want to be able to try to share some experience with them like that, but I just can't on that. And they're not going to sit and watch basketball with me because that's boring to them. So it's like, it's just trying to find a middle road. And the cast is great. It's just super well done. Like even in this first episode, I said to Joe, I'm like, I'm surprised that they were able to pull off so many different animation styles into one show. So yeah,
very nice. I'm not sure what Daniel's talking about here, but maybe one of y'all will, or maybe you. Do you know, Matt?
I don't know. I haven't seen this week's. I don't think I've seen this week's Discovery, and I know I haven't seen this week's Expanse. Normally, my wife and I would be watching The Expanse right now, but instead I'm on
Gotcha.
Brothers and Booze.
Yeah.
Well, good.
I will tell you that I haven't even started seasons. Yes, thank you, Zach. I haven't even started season 6 because I got my wife to start watching it from the beginning, and we're only into season 2. And I kind of want to watch that through with her so that I get to a point where we can watch the last season together. And it's funny watching how the characters evolve in The Expanse, because like season 1 is a good season, but it's a lot of setup.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good because once you get into season 2 and you start seeing the characters kind of, because now they have the main theme of what the problem is, which I'm not going to give away, but then you start to see the characters start to fluff out and kind of grow into themselves. And the main character guy is my wife's like, he gives off very Jon Snow vibes, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm not a fan of that character, because it's very Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. So, but yeah.
I'm totally behind that, Doug. Angela and I did the same thing. I think we started watching, she started watching The Expanse like last spring, and we watched all the way through the end of season 5. And I want to say she finished season 5 like within the last month or two. So it was the perfect timing to line up for season 6.
Yeah. Right. And I can relate to this. It took me a little bit to get into it. I'm going to double back on it, but Dave Rogers says we could not get into Expanse in season 1. But I'm going to double back because y'all keep talking. Well, Doug doesn't keep talking about it, but Expanse keeps getting brought up on this. Doug talked about it, I think, early this year when we started this segment about watching TV, and Doug brought it up, and then I watched the first 2 episodes. I couldn't really get into it that much, but I'm going to double back on it. It's there. I ain't even worried about it. Real quick, Charlie says that season 2 came out early, but Netflix Love, Death, and Robots is really good. Doug, you gave a thumbs up to that one?
That is a great show.
Okay.
Little shorts. They're only like 8-10 minutes long.
Yeah, some of them are that, and then there are some episodes that are like 20, but they're and you don't have to watch them in order. You can watch them in whatever you like, and it's just a great show. Jesus Christ.
Oh God.
Zach. Hey Zach, we agreed not to speak about that publicly, so please don't do that.
I'm not sure if we're gonna have Zach on now. I don't know.
Hey,
that's a rough one.
No, we have to have him on because that will be that is going to be in competition with Manny for like the most wild episode.
No one's going to beat Manny. No one can. But Doug, Zach's going to give him a run.
Yeah, but
Zach's going to give him a run.
Zach's the guy who kind of trademarked the robe thing because he's been wearing a pink robe in his Facebook profile for fucking 15
before
years.
Manny did. Right. Charlie, you want to come on? Let's go.
Yeah.
Charlie, if you, not that you're not serious, but sometimes people say shit in comments and they don't mean it. If you're serious, DM me, Charlie. We can do this. It's cool. Yeah. We can talk. He works at a brewery, so we can talk. We can get into all that shit too. But anyway, so let's just get real quick here, Matt. And the last time you were on, I wanted to talk food too, and we just never got to it. You are a wonderful resource for the NA beers. You love them. The passion comes out. We can see it. We can feel it. But you, again, have been a chef pretty much, from what I know, your whole life. And where I met Matt is at Home Dad Con. And one of the things that Matt does, Doug, when you go to Home Dad Con, is Matt brings meat. And the ongoing theme about Matt at Home Dad Con, I missed this year, so I don't know if it was going on this year, but I'm sure it was, is that you want Matt's meat in your mouth. And that's it. So it's always a goal at Home Dad Con is getting Matt's meat in your mouth. That's one of the things that you want. You go to Home Dad Con. Seriously. You don't want to miss Matt's meat, and you definitely want it in your mouth. And Matt does curating meats. That's part of his daily life, I believe. He doesn't document it as much as he used to on Facebook. If he is, kind of missed it. But
No,
it's one thing.
I've gotten kind of away from it.
Okay. But one thing I do want to talk to you about, Matt, real quick, is that do you have any tips and tricks for Christmas? As I said at the start, and whoever here was at the start, Christmas is one of those days that you got to get that meal right, in my personal opinion. I'm not really a person that like stresses on it, and I'm not a person that believes that, you know, all the time you have to make sure, you know, you can throw in some clunkers. Doug has talked about on the stream about how he's made some food that was just completely horrible. I talked about, I think a couple weeks ago, about how my family made a meal that was just awful. And or was that on the side? I don't know if I talked about it.
That was not on the live stream. That was after hours.
Oh, it was okay. It was awful. It was bad. And it's funny because we talked about it too. But like the twice baked mashed potatoes were not twice baked.
Were they?
It was just
baked?
Yeah, it was like, it was really, really bad. But they gave it their shot, and I just didn't want to be an asshole and like give immediate feedback. It sounded like an ungrateful son of a bitch, because that's what I would have sounded like. But my point is that Christmas and Thanksgiving are days that you can't fuck up, in my personal opinion. Like you can, but it's just not good. So I don't know if you have any tips, tricks that you think that you can help people make sure they nail this meal. And then Doug has a follow-up, I'm sure, and I might have even a follow-up too. Because I was going to ask you, do you have any? We have Jeffrey on, food scientist, and you've probably seen it, and he's great guest.
I love Jeffrey.
Yes, and he talks about all that, and he helps us through Thanksgiving. So I kind of want you to help us through Christmas. What do you got, buddy?
Well, one thing that I did different this year at Thanksgiving, and I know I am like super late to this party, is I spatchcocked my turkey for the first time ever this past Thanksgiving. Which I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Yeah, so I am, but I explain for people who aren't.
So basically what you do is you turn the turkey upside down, and you grab like your kitchen shears and you cut the spine, like the entire bottom part of the turkey out. You push it back upright, you pull it apart, and you push down. And what you end up with is the turkey's flat. And you have the legs coming out this way and the breast and the wings out this way. And I spatchcocked it, hit it with like salt, and just left it on a rack in the fridge overnight. When Thanksgiving came around, seasoned it, shoved it in the oven, put some lemons and garlic and herbs like under the skin and underneath it on the rack.
Mm-hmm.
The 14-pound turkey cooked in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Everything was evenly cooked. Like the breast meat was moist and the dark meat was fully cooked. I will never, ever, ever in my life not spatchcock a turkey again. Somehow people have been doing this for years. I never did it. I don't cook turkey that often. Usually I've always done either duck or goose because I don't have an incredibly large extended family. So like, for instance, this year for Thanksgiving, it was me, Angela, the 2 kids, and my mom. And then a friend of mine's wife got surgery, so I brought them a bunch of food so that they didn't have to cook, which is good because we had way too much turkey. For Christmas, my in-laws will be in town, so we'll have like 2 extra people coming to eat with us. The other thing that I did this past Thanksgiving, and I think a lot of it had to do with this being the pandemic, is that I just went back to doing simple. Like I used to always go to all this trouble and make like Cajun oyster dressing and everything. And this year I just did like a classic sausage and cranberry dressing, and just a really simple, basic turkey gravy and a roasted turkey. I did make baked macaroni and cheese because it's not Thanksgiving without a baked macaroni and cheese. It's just part of our family tradition.
Tell them. Fucking tell them. Go
you know,
on.
and I did a baked macaroni and cheese with homemade bacon, like big chunks, like cubes of homemade bacon that I had rendered out, folded in. It was really exciting because my incredibly picky eater 4.5-year-old son ate the crap out of the baked macaroni and cheese. The kid who eats nothing, for 3 days, it was like, eat it all, go. And then he got burnt out, but at least we got him to eat some. But, I did a baked macaroni, and then honestly, we just did some asparagus, some bread, and called it a day.
So is that a tip from you? Meaning you think people should go back to just not trying to overdo it?
Yeah. I mean, I think back, I think the first time that I was on your show and we talked about holiday dinners, I did 2 different turkey breast roulades. I had one turkey breast where I pounded it out flat and I filled it with cornbread stuffing and then rolled it into a pinwheel, wrapped it, baked it, and sliced it. And then the other one I did with a cranberry, sage, and cream cheese stuffing in the pinwheel. And don't get me wrong, it was delicious and it was awesome, but it was so unnecessary. It was hours and hours of extra work. And yeah, people enjoyed it, but it wasn't the return on investment just wasn't there. I mean, my tip is don't kill yourself trying to make fancy, gussied up food. It's Christmas. It's Thanksgiving. Nobody wants to eat modernist cuisine for Christmas. People want a turkey. They want potatoes. They want stuffing. They want mac and cheese. They might want some cranberry sauce if that's what you're into. I've never been a fan. But don't overthink it. Just keep it simple and delicious. And by doing that, I was able to spend more of Thanksgiving with my wife and my kids and my mom, and a whole lot less of it chained to a stove in the kitchen trying to make everything work. And I'm going with the same plan for Christmas. I don't want to spend a day and a half trying to cook for a 2-hour meal. It's not worth it to me. I'm going to make simple food. I'm going to make it delicious. And, when people finish eating, they'll be full and happy, and it will have been tasty, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
Amen.
I mean, that's the biggest difference for me this year. And this is probably the first year I've ever hit that point where I'm just I don't want to do weird stuff. I mean, I've done snow crab and lobster mac and cheese before and all kinds of craziness. And honestly, this year I'm thinking we're going to do probably some raw oysters so that everybody can enjoy some raw oysters with before we eat. Some of us really like raw oysters, Doug.
Not me. I mean, I'm not a runny
snot person.
Yeah, and I'm just my reaction was more man, I just wish I lived near a place that could have had really good fresh seafood. Wisconsin,
that's fair. That's fair.
I was saying. Wisconsin ain't it.
I grew up in New Orleans, so we always had seafood in New Orleans. When I moved from New Orleans to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I did not eat a lot of seafood in Pittsburgh. I went from there to Portland, Oregon, where I started eating seafood again. Then I ended up in Dallas, Texas. Again, not a lot of seafood in Dallas. Now that I'm here in North Carolina, the coast is about a 3-hour drive from here. So it's not that hard to get access to good fresh seafood.
All right. Can I ask a question about Dallas? Because all right, Dallas is a ginormous state. I get that. I'm not.
Well, Texas is a ginormous state.
Yeah, Texas. Sorry. 10 City barrel aged beer. Sorry.
Yeah.
How far is Dallas from the Gulf of Mexico? Or
it's about
5 hours.
6 hour. It's about a 6-hour drive from Dallas to Houston, and then you've probably got about another 3 hours from Houston to the Gulf Coast.
Oh,
wow. So, because I was curious, because like I'm thinking, oh well, Dallas, maybe it's closer to one.
Dallas is
inland.
until you've driven across Texas, you will
Which
never
I'm never
understand
going to
how
do that.
big Texas is. Like you will start driving, and at some point you will think to yourself, "I can't still be in Texas," and then you'll look and realize you're only halfway through.
Yeah, no thanks. Hard pass.
I mean, Texas is bigger than most countries in Europe.
Right. Facts.
I mean, it is just freaking huge. And
Facts.
again, you can still get good seafood anywhere these days.
Right.
I mean, the reality is they can FedEx seafood, an overnight seafood to anywhere in the country. 4 hours from Dallas to Houston?
Yep.
Maybe without traffic. Last time I drove it took 6.
Jerry, we don't know. Jerry could be like a race car driver, like literally.
No. My wife is correcting me. She's
saying
great
song.
It's 4.
Don't sing it though.
I'm not going to.
My wife's correcting me. She's telling me it's 4.
I'm glad
You're
you
right,
got that
Jerry.
reference, Greg.
Yes. Primus sucks. Did you get that one? Anyway,
Primus does not suck. You go to hell. You go to hell and you die.
Whoa! Primus sucks is what fans of Primus say. But go on though. I don't know if you knew that, Matt.
I did not.
Yes,
I just
Primus
like
sucks.
Primus.
Primus used to run around screaming Primus sucks, and then Primus fans used to yell Primus sucks because people yell Primus sucks, so they embraced it. So also, Primus does suck.
Also, can I make the point? Can I make the point that Matt made a "You die and you go to hell" as a South Park reference, and Primus did South Park's theme song?
Look at that! Sorry. Is that copyrighted? Oh man. Oh, anyway, while we're on it, y'all need to I said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. Check out South Park's post-COVID Primus special. Or I'm sorry, on Paramount. That shit's hilarious. It's hilarious.
I've watched both of them. There's 2 of them that they've done so far.
Oh, there's another one I got.
Yeah, they came out with a new one. They came out with a new one that came out like yesterday or the day before.
Right, I need to get on that for sure. Right, all right. So real quick, y'all, we had a lot of comments here, and as Doug knows, sometimes I don't put them up because we got a flow going here, and I don't want to distract our guests. So let's go through them real quick here, and then we can comment on them. So Jerry starts with. My main trick for Christmas is order a meal cooked by somebody else early. Jerry, I couldn't agree with you more. And we used to do that in this house, and we have done it. But it seems like last year in the pandemic was perfect for this because a lot of restaurants were doing it because, normally you would maybe go out and they had curbside. Now we're seeing here in Madison a lot less curbside options for Christmas. So we're going to do lobster tails and steak and lobster we're doing with scalloped potatoes from fucking Costco and some fucking vegetable, and that's pretty much it. And some nice fucking right. We're just piecing that shit together, and we're doing what Matt says, which is just chill the fuck out and do something that everybody likes. Jerry also likes Chinese food on Christmas Eve. Jerry, I like Chinese food on fucking Christmas. I think that's great too. Jeff says Chinese food is a Jewish Christmas meal.
It is.
Only places we find were traditionally open. And we did the last time we did Chinese on Christmas was a few years back, but we ain't afraid of that shit at all by any means. Charlie says we have to get a meal together and drive to mom's house. Easiest to buy from a local fancy grocery store, and then add a couple side dishes. Great for families that have to cook and travel. So you don't have to deal with, like Matt says, sitting in the kitchen for like 4 fucking hours when you could be really entertaining and having that time with your family that you normally wouldn't have. David said he made it a simple indigenous dish to point out holidays are problematic for a few of my friends this year, and my mom erupted in a fit of white fragility that ruined the day. Good times. Good. I don't even know.
We need to know what that dish was.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But
because I would like to make that for my in-laws.
Yes. Jerry knows and loves the traditional Chinese. Isn't family and togetherness the point of the holidays?
It is.
Jeff's like Chinese food and NBA and the movies is a Jewish Christmas formula. But now I've married into Christmas, so I got some shit up my sleeves for holidays. That's good. And yeah, Zach says, driving north and south of California,
Yeah.
you drive 8 hours, and it's like, the fuck, I'm still here.
However,
Right.
in California, at least you have changes of scenery.
Yeah.
You go, it changes.
Yeah. Yes.
Halfway across Texas, it starts to get hilly. Like the western part of Texas,
hilly.
Oh, okay.
And the eastern part of Texas is just flat.
Right.
Oh, okay. Good.
Surf and turf. Agreed. Very nice. Yep. My kids make a really, again, I cussed them because they fucked up one meal.
Yeah.
But my boys make a really, really good lobster tail. Spicy. They pop it out. It's fantastic. Actually, I believe it's smoked, Doug. It's
nice.
fucking tastic. Zach's right. Some fucking vegetable is his favorite side dish.
Zach,
Absolutely.
Same. Great.
Right.
Put something green on the table. That's all anybody cares about.
I'm not sure what this is all about. I don't even know if I meant to.
I don't know. Joel jumped in and said hell isn't real, and we're like, okay, like.
Oh, hell doesn't exist. Right. Agreed, Joe. As a gay man, it's a scare tactic called bunk.
Bunk.
I don't know, man.
Okay.
I don't know.
Any comments on our comments, Matt?
You've never been to an Applebee's
in Texas.
So, Doug, do you have any comments on what Matt was talking about Christmas? I didn't give you that follow-up. Or do you have any questions for Matt about Christmas meals or any of that shit?
I didn't miss it because unfortunately I had to use the restroom. But I think your idea of going simple is probably wise. I mean, you can go really crazy. I think generally speaking, most folks are good with having the comfortable food that they're used to. Especially your parts of your family that might be a little more farther up in years, and giving them something fancy might be not to their liking. And we all know that if you have small kids, good luck, because no matter what you make, they're going to eat any of it. Unless you throw a box of Kraft macaroni and cheese in front of them or some dino nuggets, you're probably SOL. So,
yeah.
My son turned down the dino nuggets.
Wow.
We bought him dino nuggets just in the hopes that we could get him to eat those. And he took one bite, and it's funny. So my son is speech delayed. So he finds words that he can say, and he uses them for like way too many things.
Okay.
Like anything that he doesn't think is comfortable is itchy.
Okay, but you guys understand that at the point.
Right. Now we understand this. Anything that he doesn't like the taste of is spicy. So like he took a bite of a dino nugget. He's like, it's too spicy. And I'm like, I promise you, these are not spicy. These are freaking kids' dino nuggets. They probably taste like cardboard. And they did.
Maybe you should smoke up some cardboard and hand it to him and see how he thinks that's spicy.
He's perfectly happy to just eat cereal for like 7 meals a day.
I can't say that's not a bad way to go.
No, I'm sure Manny would back it.
Manny would totally be on board with that.
Y'all want to see a bad way to go?
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you have on women's underwear? Does that mean some sort of certification that's different than this?
Yeah, it's not specified in the thing. We go by what's allowed on the airplane. I'll pass it on to the captain.
You walked all the way back here without a mask over your nose. What's the difference?
You're going to have to come off the airplane. They're not going to let you travel.
What?
Non-mask compliance.
So I can't fly because this doesn't work?
Correct.
What's he wearing? A pair of panties on his face?
I'm here to ask you a question.
Yeah,
Did he just get kicked off for wearing a mask?
It's between bites and sips, sir. You have to put your mask on.
Did he just get kicked off
Sir,
for
I don't know
wearing a
what's
mask?
going on, but I'm asking you. It has to be in between bites and sips. That's the federal law, okay?
Sip. Now I'm biting.
Now put it back on. Now put your
Did
mask
he
on.
just get kicked off for
Sir,
wearing
I
that
don't
mask?
know what's
I'm out of
going
here.
on.
Forget it. I'm out of here.
Bye, bitch. Bye, bitch.
You know this whole thing.
Get the fuck off.
It's not my law, sir. It's the federal government law. Take it up with him.
Look, I'm more pissed off at the second dude than I am the first. Yes, the first dude is an asshat. He's a fucking idiot. But the second dude, you're a real asshole. Because again, you know that I'm sorry, that flight attendant, I was about to call a stewardess. That's not, I don't like that shit. That flight attendant, you know she didn't make this policy. You fucking damn well know that. And to give her shit for something that is not her fucking thing, whether she agrees with it or not, that's her job. And for you to give her shit, you just need to get the fuck. Sorry, Doc.
I have great difficulty I'm trying to wrap my head around, like, at what level of privilege do you exist that you can walk off of a plane and miss your flight over a piece of cloth on your face? It ain't that fucking hard. It's not. Like, it's been a year and a half. We're all used to wearing masks at this point.
Well, not all of us. Apparently.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug.
Most of us. Most of us are used to it. Look, I got a 4.5-year-old kid who can wear a mask all the way through a day of school.
Right.
You know, I have a 7-year-old who goes to school from 7:15 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon, and she's mask compliant for that entire time.
Right.
You're a grown-ass man. Just put on the mask, take your flight to where you're going, and get out. It's not that hard.
Right.
But
and I would go ahead. Sorry.
Can you walk away from a plane flight? I mean, like, if you're getting on a plane, like, you have plans. Like, there's a reservation, a rental car, somewhere you're going on the other end of that flight. You know, who can just look up and be like, oh, wait, you made the guy with the thong on his face leave the plane? Well, I'm leaving too.
Right.
Who the fuck are you?
Hey,
bye, bitch.
And flights aren't cheap.
No,
flights are not
who
cheap.
the fuck are you that you can walk away?
Listen, I'm not poor, but I'm not that. Who are those people, like, fucking, like, independently wealthy? Because I can't just take a loss of several $100s on a fucking
Matt's
flight.
right. Matt's right. The level of privilege is sky high.
I can't imagine that they're refunding them their ticket.
No, and I just want to make it clear that on this show, probably, Zach, you're probably right. But I would like to point out on this show, we do not kink shame. So if you choose to wear a pair of underwear on your face, God bless.
No, that's fine. Just don't claim it's a mask.
Oh, Zach, so true. Right.
Absolutely, Zach. Absolutely.
Right.
If there is one thing that the pandemic has taught me, it's that eventually, and I truly believe this in my heart, this will end and we will get our lives back to some semblance of normal. And when that happens, there's a huge swath of people that I would like to still avoid being around for the rest of my life. Like, they have just shown me exactly who they are, and I have no interest in interacting with them ever again.
That's a silver lining in the pandemic is we're finding out who I don't want to be around. Thank you. Right. And I love this comment. Put your thong under your mask, and we wouldn't have a fucking problem. Right. And I'm an at-home dad, as everybody knows. So I haven't been out. So I haven't had to wear a mask for an extended period of time. Doug, the only time that I've had to wear a mask for an extended period of time is when I go to cardiac rehab. I'm not sure if y'all know what cardiac rehab is, but basically you show up and exercise with supervision of a nurse and nurses that are there. And I have to wear a mask. And that taught me a lot of things. One of the things it taught me is that, like, wow, it's crazy that people have to do this all day. And it gave me a respect for people who have to wear a mask all day. And it gave me that, the shifting of it and all that. Again, I haven't had to do that. I haven't traveled. So so it gave me appreciation of that. But it also, what else did I learn, Matt? Is that it's not that fucking hard, and it's fucking, you should do it and shut your fucking goddamn mouth. If I, after having heart problems, can go into a place and exercise for an hour with a mask, breathing through it, all your people are just bullshitting, and you need to shut the fuck up and do it. Period. That's it.
There was an ER doc. There was an ER doc in England at the very beginning of the pandemic who, when everybody was talking about how they couldn't wear the mask because it was preventing them from breathing and impairing their ability to like get oxygen. So there was an ER doc in England who put on an oxygen meter, put a mask on, and ran an entire marathon. And at the end of it, his O2 level had dropped by less than 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, if he can do it running a marathon, you can do it shopping at Walmart.
All right.
Right.
I would also like to point out that I have had 2 different instances where I've had to wear a mask for extended time. When we traveled to Iceland and we had to go into an airport, you have to wear a mask the entire time. I was fine with that. Now, I will say that because I have fucking super large ears, by the time we got to Iceland, my fucking ears hurt like a motherfucker, but that's what you sacrifice to go travel.
Ear savers are your friend.
Yeah, and then when I went to the hospital, because I was in the hospital for fucking 5 days because I had a heart attack, I had to wear a mask the entire time.
That's crazy.
And here's the thing. The only part that I had was my ears started hurting. So my wife brought me a paperclip and rubber bands so I could wrap it around my head. And guess what? I slept with that on. Like, you can do that.
That's
it is
crazy.
My wife crochets little like yarn ones with buttons on each side that my kids wear to save their ears. The exact same thing that you're talking about doing, just crocheted so that they're in the colors that the kids like, and they get to pick out the buttons and whatever that makes them happy.
Yeah.
Doug, I was able to, once I was tested and I was in my room, I was able to take off my mask my 3 days at the hospital. So kudos to you, because I didn't have the same privilege as you, or I had more privileges as you.
I know. I will say they didn't test me there, and I attribute that to just them being fucking packed. I'm having heart issues, and I'm sitting in a hallway for 36 hours, and that was not the fault of the people working there. That was the fault of unvaccinated ninnies.
I'm not faulting anyone. I'm just saying, like, kudos to you. Yeah, or go on. I'm sorry.
But when I finally got to a room in the cardiac area and I had a curtain, I had social distance. So I was able at times to pull it down for 30 minutes. But for the most part, if anybody came near my fucking space, I masked up. When my wife was there, I would give her a kiss with the mask off, and then we would mask up, because we were trying to make sure that, one, I'm not in any jeopardy, and 2, the folks in the fucking goddamn cardiac ward are not in any jeopardy either, because, I walked out of there the day after I had a procedure, but other people were in there for a long time. And you want to make sure those folks don't have any issues. I mean, that's a part. It's like Matt's point is right on. Is this shows you who has any interest whatsoever in taking care of the other folks around you.
Yep. And as we tackle serious and we tackle silly shit. Jerry says he's all for thongs, and he might even have $1 for the guy. Just not in public.
Yeah, I gotta ask a favor, Greg.
Yes, sir.
As we're talking about silly, did you and Doug get a chance to look at that restaurant review that I sent you?
Yes, we did not discuss that. We need to do that fast. We have to do that, Greg.
We can do it slow too if you want, though.
That's true. We'll get to, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, baby. Here's my boys to men voice.
Tee off on it, Matt. You tell us where we're going, and I'll show everybody this.
So I got sent an email from somebody talking about how, oh my God, have you read this restaurant review? And I was like, no. And I picked up the restaurant review, and the title of the review is we ate at the worst Michelin restaurant starred restaurant ever. And these people detail this 27 courses of living hell is the only way it can be described. Like one of the courses was a thinly sliced piece of edible paper. I think one of them was encapsulated air. That's not food. But the one that got everybody's attention, and Greg's gonna, yeah, I think that was like a fish cracker that was like the entire course. Yeah, a paper thin fish cracker. That is the entire course. You know, and one course was a tablespoon of crab meat, and they paid like top dollar to do this. I think that was their largest course. It was 6 noodles per person, and it was cold. They did mention like none of the food came out hot. They were excited for this one because they thought it was pistachio ice cream. It turns out it was green olive ice cream.
Blah.
This was the tablespoon of crab meat, but the piece that got everybody's attention is apparently one course. Apparently there were lots of foams involved. One course was a citrus foam, and it was served. And I'm not sure what that one is. Let's see. What is that? Oh, that's the teaspoon. Oh, that's the olive ice cream. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's bypass that shit because that sounds fucking terrible. I don't even want to dwell on that shit.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. But the end all be all, you could see like as they're eating, one of the analogies they made is that, you know, they kept thinking it's got to get better. It's like Nicolas Cage's career. Like there's a lot of awful stuff, but somewhere in there, there's some good things. Now, this is the end all be all. This is a citrus foam. They served it in a plaster mold of the chef's mouth. They gave it to them without spoons or anything and told them that they were to lick it out of the mold. So they were literally instructed to French kiss a mold of the chef's mouth as part of the meal. Now, I feel like somebody should have contacted HR at this point.
I think the chef needed some chapstick. Look at that shit.
I mean, but like, well, the best part is on their like website. Apparently, the plaster cast of the chef's mouth, you can buy that so that you can use it at home. Yeah, they sell the mouth in the gift shop in case you want to tongue things out of a plaster mouth when you get home.
Feed me, Seymour.
I mean,
is this
like, I'm sorry,
and
but
this
like,
this is not the onion.
No.
Huh? No, this is totally legit. This was like a 300 euro meal per person.
Look how it's dripping. That is so
I mean, like, dude, this is so nasty. Like everything about this. Apparently, these were reconstituted orange segments. And at one point, one of the diners looked up and said, "Can I eat the orange that's next to it?" And the waiter looked up and said, "Well, you're not supposed to." And he's like, "I managed to eat 2 segments of the orange before they took it away because at this point, I'm starving." So this is encapsulated meat molecules. I would like to point out they didn't say beef or chicken or pork. They just said meat. If I'm paying that much money for a meal, I'd like to know what kind of meat I'm eating. Like underneath, that's the meat droplet course. Yeah, we infuse. Wait, if you scroll up, you can read it. It says we infused. No, I'm sorry, down.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. We infused these droplets with meat molecules.
This is like the worst episode of Chopped ever.
And the best part is that the name of the restaurant is
Look at
Bros.
Look at these
like,
people.
At a certain point, they said it became comedic, right? I mean, they're in like this cinder block bunker of a room with no windows.
What is that?
This was a squid ink flavored something or other.
Scroll down, Greg. See if they have it, the descriptor. Keep going.
No.
Okay.
No. Oh, they also served her husband like several courses that contained things that he was allergic to, which they had supplied the restaurant with a list of all the things he was allergic to. Oh, it was a marshmallow flavored like cuttlefish.
Oh.
So yeah, like a squid flavored marshmallow. Doesn't that sound awesome?
No, it does not.
So the fun part is, so she prints this review on her blog, and a couple of days later, the chef responds to her with a 3-page response that he demands that she posts on her Twitter page. And I cannot lie to you, it is the funniest thing I've ever seen on Twitter. Yes, I could totally see the eating soup out of the plaster replica of your butthole, Zach.
Hey, by the way, Zach, if that's the case, then I'm guaranteeing your wife wears gloves when she eats it, because she can't even eat like fucking nachos without gloves. That's a real thing. And I'm not shaming her, because I think she doesn't want to get her hands messy, which I just think is fucking hilarious. So yeah, enjoy that.
But
wow.
in the response, the chef starts talking about how, you know, he starts off with a giant picture drawn of a man riding on a horse. And his response opens with, "This is a picture of a man riding on a horse." Yeah, they skipped 6 courses for one person because they didn't know what to do because she was allergic to things. But by the end of his response, he's talking about, who are you to tell me what art is? And my argument is, well, for one thing, while food can be art, food is not like art for the sake of art. When you go into a restaurant, you intend to eat something and at least like enjoy it. And even if you don't enjoy it, at least you should leave full. Yes. One of his typos was he kept saying, "What is art?" And apparently he was trying to write "What is food?" and it says "What if food?" Which I now like feel like people are going to start getting as, like, chefs are going to start getting as a tattoo, like "What if food?" It's going to be on every chef's sleeve next week.
By the way, I would like to point out, Zach privately sent me a Facebook message with his wife eating something with gloves on. I'm not going to post it because I can't post something of her face, because that's not okay. But
it brought to mind this idea that, you know, I get that you believe that your food is like high art, but if that's the case, advertise your place as a gallery, not as a restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, like when I go to a restaurant, do I want the food to be artistic? Sure. But not as much as I want it to be, like, as much as I want it to taste good.
So I think we're all in agreement that when you go to a restaurant, your food should taste good. If it looks good, that's a nice bonus.
Yeah. Greg's still trying to wrap his head around licking the foam out of the chef's mouth.
The whole.
Frozen
Doug knows, though. Doug knows, man. Doug knows we've been doing this for a long ass time at this point, it feels like. And Doug knows that part of the thing I take seriously is research. So if a guest gives me something to read, I usually read it, whether it be a book or, you know what I'm saying, Doug? You know, I want to be prepared. I don't want to be. This is one thing I skipped. I didn't get to it before the stream started.
Oh my God!
I am
so
a
you
completely.
saw that for the first time.
I'm completely. This is what you're. Maybe I need to do this more often, which is not, because like I'm still trying to wrap my hand. Is this fucking serious? And are you?
This is
serious?
Dead serious.
No, I know it is, and that's why you're seeing the response that you're fucking seeing right now.
Well, where was this at? All right,
it's in Italy, in like Liège, Italy, or something.
Okay, see, this just seems very much. See, this almost seems like
one dish was labeled as being rancid ricotta, and the guy and the response was, they said, "You mean aged?" And they went, "No, rancid." So you're serving me rotten cheese.
This seems like a very bad Zoolander outtake.
Everything about this
going to
feels
this
like
hot
it's
spot.
not real.
Yeah.
Everything feels like it's not real, but it is. Like, you can go online. The restaurant has a website. You can buy that mouth. Well, you can't now. It's currently sold out. But you could have bought that mouth. Because you know a bunch of people, like, totally bought it. Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, there was a time in my life, there was a time in my career as a chef when
Zach, you're totally right.
you're absolutely correct.
Oh,
There was a time in my career where I went through this phase where I went through
sorry,
this
man.
phase no, I got it.
I
Where we all got fascinated by this like whole modernist cuisine thing. The idea of doing foams and using like weird food additives.
Molecular gastronomy.
Yeah, that whole molecular gastronomy thing. And the reality is there are people out there that do an amazing job of it, but like you only need one Wiley Dufresne. You know, you need one or two chefs that are really, really good at this. I don't need like 49,000 hacks who want to put a foam on every dish.
I don't even know if this deserves a serious response. Like, Matt is being serious with his response, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be, but this deserves to be mocked, like, out of the fucking world. It needs to be mocked to fucking Mars. Like, this dude needs to be shamed to Saturn. Like, this is fucking out of control. Like,
when you get the
serious?
When you get the chance, Greg, go on the Twitter thread that I gave you that includes his response and then the people responding to his response. Oddly enough, there's at least 4 people who come to the chef's defense talking about how, you know, art is supposed to challenge you. And lots of people brought up the fact that, like, but there's a difference between Jackson Pollock, who made paintings just for the sake of making paintings, and when I commission someone to make a painting for me. Yeah, this is the Twitter thread with the response. I mean, it's
that mouth on the Twitter thread looked like a fucking bad eyeball.
Yeah. Well, again, the angle in her review was so much worse. Is the panty face mask of restaurants? Yes. So if you scroll down, you can see the picture of the horse that he started with in his response. Or if you scroll like down in the comments.
Okay, hold on here. Jesus.
He actually drew a picture of a horse. Oh, no. Yeah, here you go. He drew this picture saying, this person drew a good horse. And lots of people will say he's very good at drawing. And lots of women cook meals every day, and they're very good at cooking, and that will win you praise. But are they artists? You know, and then he shows a fancier picture of a horse and says, you know, this is an artist, but I'm bored with this art. I want to challenge people. And again, challenge with art is fine, but don't challenge me with like food that could potentially kill someone. I mean, you're feeding someone things they're allergic to.
I don't even know how to respond.
Man, the comments in the fucking Daddy Beer Gazoo thread are fucking.
I'm telling you, dude. I spent like a good hour reading through the thread the day I found it and just could not stop laughing.
Well, as y'all saw, I liked and retweeted that shit. If you go to Daddy Porter, you see Daddy Porter blog here. Y'all can find it all. I'm going to post this. Matt, again, as I said, man, you completely shocked me with this because, again, normally I just didn't have the time today to click on it. Normally, you know, part of the process here is that Doug and I, when we have a guest, we ask what they want to talk about. And the guest is like, yes, post this, have this ready. You know what I mean? So I had it ready, obviously, because I brought it up real fast.
Right.
But I didn't get to see this shit. I don't even know how to fucking respond.
I saw it at a very surface level. And then and seeing Matt being like, yeah, there was like a frozen air, and I'm like, frozen fucking air. All right, that dude's a fucking douchebag. That's not
Right.
art. That's you just trying to be.
Right.
Hey, look how avant-garde.
And
It's like looking at
uh,
that dude in high school who like thinks he's really cool and tries to do a French accent, even though he's never been to France or has no French heritage. And you go, that guy's a douche. That
if you're
chef's a douche.
trying, if you're trying to be avant-garde, that kind of like automatically disqualifies you from being avant-garde. I feel like that's something that's supposed to happen naturally. You can't force being different. Yeah, no, it's just awful. I mean, in every way, shape, and form, the meal is just terrible.
Wow.
And it's, I will say, having read her entire review, she is now my favorite food writer on the planet. Like, it is worth reading her entire thing because she is hilarious.
That'll be on my Twitter and my other stuff if y'all need the links. The links are probably long and goofy ass shit, or I guess you could Google it too if you need it. But I want to make sure that everybody gets that if you want to go and then comment on it and do whatever y'all do. That is just crazy. Yes, listen, I've hit tilt. I don't know how to even react.
I think I broke Greg.
Like, this is what kind of olives? Wow. Frozen air reminds me of a fried beer dish from the State Fair in Texas a few years
I had the fried beer dish. I had the fried beer dish though. But it was inside of a soft pretzel and it wasn't bad.
Then that's not a fried beer dish. That is a fried pretzel.
Well, what they did was they took like the frozen pretzel and they had frozen beer inside of it so that when they deep fried it, it crisped up. And when you bit into it, there was liquid beer.
So it was like a gusher bubblegum thing.
Yes. But again, you're at the state fair and you're eating something deep fried. You know it's going to be weird.
Wow. I don't even know how to follow this up, but to say,
I think this is, yeah.
No, go on.
I was gonna say, I was thinking that this would be a good place for us to like end the night on because you can't.
We're gonna right.
I don't think you can top that now.
No, there's no following that.
I'm not even going to try. I just want to thank you for coming on, and we've covered the gamut tonight, whether it be NA beers, and we absolutely have to have you on. It's a fascinating again, of course, Matt, you're a returning guest, so you need to come back and talk about this. But also,
is this the first time someone's broken, Greg?
Can we top it with a phone?
I think yes, but there's been a few times where I've been broken on this stream. Right. Thank you, Matt, for stepping in, and excellent. Yes,
again,
glad to help out.
Great. And again, our scheduling snafu in an ass backwards way worked, Matt.
It did.
Right. Because I even part of it was Matt's like, yo, man, you just got to make sure get back to me. I'll ship y'all some NA beers and we can really, throw down on the stream. It'll be great. And I'm like, Matt, just give me you got to give me a couple days to work this out. And literally the next text was, yo, you need to come on tomorrow. So it literally was, Doug. So Matt was awesome and he was patient, but actually somehow, some way, this shit in an ass backwards way fucking worked out. So
make it work, baby.
Doug, man, that happens to me a lot. I don't know if you know this or you've been around me a lot, but sometimes this shit just works out with me. I don't know how it is. Maybe it's divine intervention. I'm not sure. I don't know. All I know is that
don't question a good thing.
Correct. But Matt, I just want to. Do you have any final things? One of the questions we always say is, do you have any final things that we missed? We didn't talk about. In fact, you did. You did cut. I know you're not afraid because you said, "Hey, you gotta make sure you show this," and we did. Or I would have forgot about it. But anything else that you wanted to say, or didn't get to say about anything here tonight that you wanted to sign off on?
No, just hoping everybody has a good holiday. I feel like, most of my family has gotten fully vaccinated. Unfortunately, my youngest is just a few months shy of qualifying for his jab. But I'm really hoping that we can get out of this one day, because I missed you. I missed you at DadCon this year, Greg.
Yes, sir.
I missed you.
Yeah, man. And as Doug and I said at the top, we're both high risk, so that's kind of that's kind of where I'm at and I'm still unfortunately there. Hopefully 2022 I can say I'm not high risk, but I'm still not out of the complete woods yet, but I'm doing much better, and I'm feeling much better. Yeah, and this is true. Doug's been high risk for years, for sure.
That's a fair point. I'm higher risk than normal.
Right.
Well, all I can say is if either one of you guys can pull it off, next year should be a little bit more interesting. We're doing it out in Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Place I'm not too familiar with, and I need to get for beer.
Yeah. Well, I've never been out that way before, and I'm kind of excited to be out in the desert. I'm trying to convince people that we need to get a group of guys together and just go out in the desert one night with telescopes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, let's go out in the desert like Walter White. I was like, okay,
no.
Hold on.
No,
I cooked up a whole bunch of math.
Okay. No. I thought you would appreciate this, though, Greg, is that because we'll be out there in the desert, from what I understand, you can drive 30, 45 minutes outside of town and there's no light pollution.
Oh, yes. Great. You're
so getting out there
right.
where you can actually see the Milky Way and maybe get some telescopes out there with us and let us have, some nice time. And, I'm sure that, some of the guys will probably bring a 6-pack or 2 or a bottle of something or whatever, but we're all grown men.
Right. And, just real quick, at the fair, the soft pretzel was a cast of the chef stick. So.
Wow. In that case, he really needs to see a doctor, because that was an odd shape, man.
Right. But you know what, though, that if that chef was the one who made that would be the whole thing.
That was art. That was art. That was art,
motherfuckers. Right. That's art, motherfuckers. Right. Matt, thank you for being you. Thank you for jumping in. Thank you for stepping in. Daniel, thanks you too. It was vastly entertaining, fun, and all that. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, brother. Have a great holidays. And we'll see you sometime in 2022. We'll get you back here soon.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one. Bye.
Thanks, Matt. Bam. That was another great time, Doug. Do you want to go over your beers quick? Because we've been here forever tonight.
Yeah. So I had no bad beers. All of them were excellent. My one
even the NA one.
The NA was excellent. And one of my cans is upstairs because my wife hijacked the sour that I had from Jay.
Right. Hold on. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Doug. I'm sorry. I fucked this all up. We got to bring Matt back. Matt, you need to go and you need to review the ones you had. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do that first.
Yeah, this Gravitas was the one from Bravas Brewing.
Yes.
That's the barrel-aged bourbon stout. And then I did the Maple Brown and the Dave's Dark from Athletic.
And Matt, do you is there any way do if people contact you, can you how about your ambassador program? We didn't talk about that. Is there any way that if you sell if people do you have a code, or do you have something where people sell, if people go through your link that you can what's all that about?
An affiliate link and a discount code. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, we need to get to that. I completely forgot.
It's all right. All right, so that goes there, and that goes there. All right, and we'll go back to Messenger is the easiest way to get it to you.
Okay. Or can people contact you to do that? Friend you up, or
Anybody who wants to can hit me up.
Okay.
That's my affiliate link. But the one that's more important is if they use that code at checkout, the MStrain 20,
okay, so
it'll give them it'll give them a 20% discount, but only the first time they order beer direct from the brewery.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
So, like on your
Um,
first order, it'll get you 20% off of the whole order. I would like to point out that they track everything by email.
Okay.
So, if you have multiple email addresses, you can
Okay.
theoretically get multiple discounts.
Okay. 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 But it's M-String 20 at
Yep.
checkout.
Yeah. Just
Excellent.
in checkout where it says if you have a discount code,
Right.
you can put that in and it'll get you 20% off your first order.
Boom. And
Right on.
you just went over all your beers too, right? Cool. Because
Yeah. Yep.
I'm still
You're still on the chef. You're still on that mouth.
all right, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
I don't. Okay, Doug. Back to your beers. I don't even know what the fuck.
All right, so I'm going to say all of them were excellent. All of them. I don't have my J. Wakefield War Cloud thing. That was probably my favorite. But honestly,
what, the 2 sips that you had before Jill stole it?
Yeah, I had a little half a glass. She's like, "That is mine," and I'm like, "Okay." So
Right.
but that was excellent. That was really a superb beer. Obviously, the 1050 barrel age is going to be great. This, Greg, you weren't. I'm not sure if you were on camera. You said you jumped off for a bit. I have to send you one of these because it gets all the characteristics of a porter. It's just a lighter. So it's. I'm going to use the word thinner. Don't take that as a bad thing. This is this is a great summer porter to drink. Like I'm gonna have to. I have 3 more of these, I think, and I'm gonna have to send you one of them because I think you'd really, really enjoy this.
Beautiful. Excellent. And let's see here. Smoked porter
from Alaska.
Yeah, it's a classic. And what I love about this too is that it tells you right here, Doug, enjoy it now or age for several years. It tells you. And the smoke part was great, but it's not overwhelming. I don't know if I would want to age it because I think I'm afraid of the smoke part going away.
Yeah, that would be my fear.
Because it's so subtle. It's not really subtle. I'm sorry. It's so assertive, but it's not too assertive, and it's really, really nice. And it's just a classic. This is one that will never fail you. Sometimes you just want, especially in the holidays, again, like Matt was talking about food. Sometimes you just want to make, keeping it simple, stupid sometimes, make sure that everybody's going to like it. And it's just across the board pretty good. Like Matt was talking about food. And this is a beer, in my opinion, to bring to Christmas. It's perfect. I just love it. It's one of my favorites all time. And it was great because the lady brought it home. And she's instructed not to really ever bring home beer without me requesting it because I just don't, you know what I mean? Like we talked about it on Badger Beer Hour. It's hard to give a craft beer drinker beer because, you can pick up some expired stuff. You can pick up some stuff we don't like. So we prefer like gift cards. It's part of, if you want to call us snobs, this is where we get snobbish. Whereas like we want to pick out our own beer, and we're not trying to be rude. We just want it right, and we don't want to waste money and all that shit. This is one of the first times that the lady actually picked up beer, had the stones. After I tell her all the time, do not pick beer unless I order it first, and then you can pick it up. She was like, "No, I got this. A smoke porter, your daddy porter, and it's great." And she picked out. Amazing. My only gripe would be that she didn't get me 2. So that's not a gripe at all, right, Doug? No. And I didn't say shit. I just said, thanks. That's great. You did a great job. But under my breath, like, don't do it again. But no. No, it's good.
You wouldn't want her to pick up several smoked porters from Alaskan? I would venture to say that would be wrong.
Right. No, for sure. But I can't even pick out IPAs. So, because I go and pick out the IPAs and they're fucking expired. So, and that's what that's the conversation that we had, which was like, sometimes you want to do the right thing and you just pick up like expired beer. I just pick up expired beer. I get too excited in beer stores, even to this day, and I just grab and pay and run the fuck out, and I don't care. So, yeah. So summing up here, Athletic gets free shipping on 2 or more 6-packs, but you can also again use M String 20. I'm sure y'all, if y'all haven't used it yet, I'm sure you can use it. And Matt gave you a good tip there that I won't repeat, but you just heard it. And Charlie ordered Athletic at the beginning of the show, so it's great that we're able to spread the word in a great way. So Doug, I'm not sure if I'm going to see you on stream before 2022. We have
the New Year's Eve is still a bit up in the air, but
we'll see. We'll see how we both feel and all that. But the next time, for sure, on Brothers and Booze, we will have Beers Okay, Brian Weltzbacher from Oklahoma, and his book. Look at that, wonderful. That's his wonderful shirt. He is also a graphic designer. Yep. He has great shirts.
His shirts are great.
Yeah, Beers Okay is his thing, and he literally has a book coming out the day that we have him on. It's that day, Doug. Great. January 10th, y'all. Or no. I'm wrong about that.
Yeah,
it's not January 10th. Let me get this right before. I think it's January. Let me get this right. I've been getting a lot of things wrong. No, it's okay. So it's January 7th. So it's 3 days before his book comes out. But because I went to order it today, and then I saw that it won't be out before the show. Or I thought it was that day of, but he has a book about beer history in Oklahoma, which is going to be fascinating. He's a great guy. Personal friend of mine, met him a couple times, drank a bunch of beers with him at Beers Okay. So cheers to that. That'll be the next time for sure that you'll see us. You might see us on New Year's Eve. If you do, we'll put it out on the channels before, but I wouldn't count on it at this point. How about that? So in closing here, we love you all. We want to thank everybody for all of your participation this year. We want to thank all of y'all who are in the chat right now and who supports the stream. And by supporting the stream, I mean just being in the comments, commenting, liking it, sharing it, all that shit that y'all do.
Hanging out with us and drinking your
hanging out with us on a Friday evening and indulging in our craziness and making our guests feel great. Y'all bought a bunch of books. Y'all have supported. You supported Matt tonight through Athletic. Every time we have somebody on, y'all support them like their family. A couple people bought Mallory O'Meara's book. I know that. I know a couple people bought Chuck Wendig's book. Nope, you don't support the stream, Zach. No, you don't. But we still love your fucking ass, so it's cool. Jerry, we love you, man. Jerry has not only supported the stream, Jerry's jumped in and guest host. We got to do that again, Jerry. I missed your Baron Flow. Hopefully next year I won't. So anything else you want to wrap with, Doug? Pretty much, if we come back New Year's Eve, we'll have something special for y'all. Not totally sure, but yeah, we have a Facebook page too, right? Who knew?
Yeah, who knew? We all knew.
Right, but we don't really talk about that shit that much. We're not really great at self-promotion. That's one thing.
No, we're good at promoting everybody else, just not ourselves.
Right, we're horrible at that, actually.
Yes, for sure.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, Doug, we had a turbulent year, but we had a fun year, and we both made it out, bro. So
we did.
Yes, we did, and yes, Dave, I'm glad you corrected catch it. David's disclaimer: he's out in California, so the show starts at 6 p.m. for him. He's got 2 youngish kids who, as you know, man, when the kids are young, the evening is a tough time to get any adult time or any alone time. The kids are running around. You got dinner on the table, trying to get them to sleep, you're trying to get them to settle. So Dave has a hard time catching us live. I know that he catches us on the retip a lot. So yeah, I've been kind of awkward tonight, Charlie. So I guess y'all oh look, the youngest kids are in ST tonight. So there you go.
Ooh.
Right. So they keep Dave busy as he's an at-home dad too. He's a father too. So yep. Stay heart healthy, you greasy shits. Catch you later. Yes, Zach, and I'm gonna hit you up soon about scheduling you.
Yep.
We are booked out to February at this point, but we want to get you on, Zach. You're gonna be a riot. It's gonna be fun. So
Yep.
again, we thank all of you, and we will see you next year. And Greg, can you get this transition?